useless! Oh, how can I ever trust again?
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Jeff Onan.
I was actually reflexively hiding behind my desk when you introduced yourself for fear that the evil inside of you was still present. Are you feeling okay, Jeff?
Yeah. No, I've exorcised the demons out of my audio equipment, out of my candlelit basement dwelling. I resuscitated my grandpa. Like, everything's good. Everything's good in this house.
Let me tell you, people were really worried about your grandfather. It's amazing how many people have approached me on the street. Because how people approach me on the street. And they're like, how's Jeff's grandfather? As far as I know.
Yeah,
he's fine.
I brought him back to life. I resuscitated him. A tiny wisp of visible air left his throat, and he looked me right in the eyes, but they weren't his eyes, they were some other eyes, and he just said, "This house is clean," and then they went back to normal. And I was like, whoa, I just experienced a moment, some kind of moment.
Well,
supernatural, whatever, beyond our understanding. Anyway, it's fine, things are good now.
Things are good. You sound normal. Everything sounds normal. Sounds like you've got electricity. I hear the comforting hum, not of a generator, but of just light bulbs, and the energy efficient light bulbs too, which is good.
Yeah,
thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for thinking of the environment. And I'm glad you're thinking of that and your grandfather and my sanity. I am going to record this while surrounded by a circle of ash, just to be safe. And I am drinking not cider this time, but holy water. Just to be sure.
I'm drinking holy water too, except it's not actually holy water. It just tastes like water, and it's called Coors beer.
No, that's unholy water. Oh, anyway, well, we're gonna talk about the Sea of Thieves on this episode, Jeff, because we have to have.
Oh, is that out yet?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. I think Sea of Thieves came out on Steam few weeks ago, and so new game, new DKU game, Sea of Thieves. We're gonna be talking about it. No, this is our Sea of Thieves catch up, like our quarterly catch up, which is how we've rebranded the Sea of Thieves episodes.
It's
to better deal with the way
it's not quarterly, right? You know that 4 months is not a quarter.
Well, what is a quarter but of three? What is It's not a quarter. It's a thirdly. It's our third.
A trinary.
Trinary.
A tributary.
This is this. I don't know. I don't fucking know what.
I don't. It's our spring catch up. Spring Sea of Thieves spring catch up.
You know what? We could just declare that the year has 16 months, and then it would be the quarterly Sea of Thieves updates. But this is how
February is a short month.
It is, fuck February. And also, time has no meaning right now, and just the world is on fire, and who cares what time it is, or what day it is, or what month it is. Sea of Thieves, the way they're releasing content now, though, it makes sense to do these catch-up episodes versus the big Sea of Thieves, whatever, because they're not really doing updates like that anymore. The big event updates, they're doing these smaller updates that still have big things in them, but less tied around a limited time event. So
yeah, they just did their 12th monthly update. So 1 full year of monthly updates, which is just amazing because the point of the monthly updates was to kind of get on the regularity that would be nice for the fans to know when things are coming, but also probably on the development side, just this rhythm of development and sustainable development, not constant like major releases with like crunch time and all that bad stuff. So, but what's shocking is that I think they're pushing out more content at a faster pace overall than they were at any other point in
for
Sea
sure.
of Thieves, which is amazing that they're able to do that.
For sure. The game definitely feels like it has picked up at quite the speed since the anniversary update. So, before it was just like, okay, we got to wait for this big of events in 2 or 3 months, and then it would come and you'd be like, oh, that was fun. But like the heart of it, the biggest thing of it, at least with Hungry and Deep and Cursed Sails, it was over within like 2 weeks, right? Like there would still be updates to the game, things that were changed and added permanently, but the major event was just kind of a finite thing, where now you don't really have that kind of artificial, like, limited event. Now anybody who gets into the game at any time can experience everything that's been added to the game, minus some time limited stuff they're doing for the website that's not even really cataloged in game. So anyway, we'll get into all of that. I feel like this is just a preamble before we actually get into the heart of the episode. I do want to do some due diligence real quick. I hope that's okay with you, Jeff. It's been a while since we did due diligence, and I've got a shill, baby, shill. So DK Vine, check us out on Patreon, dkvine.com/Patreon. If you're a fan of the content we do, if you found us through the stream at Ganza we just did, or any of our social media, and you've just gotten to the site, we rely entirely right now on the generosity of our patrons to pay the bills. So, we don't have YouTube ad revenue. We don't have any ad revenue at the moment. So really, like, any patronage is deeply appreciated, and we'll give you rewards too. You can listen to these conversations live as they happen and interact with us in the chat. Right now, the chat, well, it's just Gibbon talking about ketchup, because this episode is called Ketchup, but he's talking about the condiment, and he's talking about mushroom ketchup, the original ketchup, before tomato ketchup, which I believe was due to rations in the war. Which war it is, I don't know. But ketchup was originally made out of mushrooms.
So if you support the Patreon, you too could get into our live stream chat and talk about ketchup.
Or mustard.
That's an option. It's available to you.
I want people to argue about what kind of mustard is best. It's Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard is best. Yeah. It's spicy. And
I prefer DePaul. But DeGeorge is pretty underrated, actually, as far as DeBeatles go.
DeBeatles, yeah. It's not delivery, it's DeGeorge. So I don't even know what that means. That doesn't mean anything. So anyway, yeah, the dkvine.com/Patreon. And if you have just discovered the conversation, I should point out that nobody has discovered the missing episode in the Kongversation Season 6. There are clues throughout the season to its whereabouts and precise location. The first person to find this location and add us with it on Twitter will get the satisfaction of being the first to hear the episode, but also they'll get an autographed copy of Sea of Thieves #1, the comic book, signed by the author, Jeremy Whiteley. All right. And also, the first person to find all of the James Bond titles in every single episode of Season 7 and tell us the correct order they were listed gets a Pierce Brosnan Funko Pop and their choice of a physical copy, or digital, if that's what you prefer, of Sea of Thieves or Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair. So we have contests that are still unsolved and unanswered, and prizes that are just sitting in my prize drawer, being sad and lonely. So, that's,
And you need to get rid of those prizes. You're trying to free up some space now that you have a statue the size of a miniature fridge.
Yeah, I do. I don't even have a miniature fridge. I don't even have a fridge. I just have to can all of my food, preserve it. But yeah, I have the Conquer First Four Figure statue in the DK Vine office right now. I had to get a little table for it because it's enormous, and there's just nowhere to put it on any surface that I actually had available. So I had to buy a little table and that's the entire purpose, is to hold up this statue. But it's impressive to look at. I'm looking at it right now, and it's bringing me a little bit of happiness, which I guess is the purpose of art. I've never really considered it, having not been a private art collector until now. But I see now why people steal valuable paintings and hoard them and deprive them from others.
Yeah, and when you donate that to a museum, you'll be able to get away with not paying any taxes.
That's true,
which is really the point of art.
Right. No, this is an amazing statue. I'm not like shilling first four figures out of any monetary benefits, because if anything, they've just robbed me blind. But first four figures has done an amazing job with the Conquer statue. Haven't got my Banjo statue shipped yet, but the Conquer statue, quality controlled, the craftsmanship, it's impeccable. And I've never thought I would have a collectible of this nature as a Rare fan. You know, just merchandise has never been really prominent for Rare or Donkey Kong in the past. And we're in this new era now where we're getting all of this cool stuff at long last. And it's just bizarre to have this really immaculately detailed depiction of a drunk squirrel drinking milk and looking sad, staring at me. So, I say staring at me, but at the level it's at, he's staring at my crotch constantly with a furrowed brow, which I'm used to when people stare at my crotch. It's usually with a furrowed brow and just a deep resignation.
Hashtag E3 2019. But Hyle, you might actually be the only person in the world that is erecting statues right now. I think the rest of us we're all in the mood to kind of tear them down. And you're here just like, well, I'm going to build a statue glorifying a dinosaur killer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Conquer isn't problematic, but I think the problem with these statues is that they're in the public square, whereas I'm keeping us behind closed doors. So, it's fine. It's fine to have this baby dinosaur murdering, selfish security guard assassinating, depraved squirrel monarch in my private domicile / place of work. Hey, speaking of tearing things down and destroying them, let's talk about Mixer. So, Mixer, Microsoft / Xbox's streaming platform, is dying, aka it has been killed by Microsoft itself. And luckily, DK Vine saw the writing on the wall a couple of weeks ago and stopped using Mixer. And now we are exclusively on Twitch.
Yeah.
Twitch.
I can't help but feel partially responsible for the death of Mixer as a platform.
They saw us jumping ship. Well, what happened was Twitch signed us to an exclusive deal, like Ninja signed with Mixer. I don't want to get into specifics. It was 7 figures, and it's when I say 7 figures.
Yeah. When we say figures, you mean like there were some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures, and it was a set of 7, which is pretty good.
Yeah, they were all. I'm trying to think of the worst one. What was the worst Ninja Turtles figure? There's some like. There were ones like, why does this exist? Like, it was like the football playing one. Remember, like when they did like, they're Ninja Turtles, but they have occupations aside from being a Ninja Turtle. So they had like football playing. Was it Leonardo that was the football player? I know they had Donatello, like Detective Donatello, and I'm looking this up right now because this is important. Damn it.
The issue is that if you don't do that, if you don't come up with the occupation concept, then you just once everyone has a copy of each turtle, they don't need to buy more toys. But as a toy company, you need them to buy more toys, Hyle. So think of the children whose parents own the toy company. They got to make money. They got to feed their children. They got to put money in their pockets. So as many copies of Leonardo as they put out, I will buy.
I just looked it up. The figure was called Touchdown Tossin' Leonardo.
I like alliteration. That's good. Well, and actually, that's what it was, though, was the 7 figures we got from Twitch were all Leonardos.
Yeah, Touchdown Tossing Leonardos, too.
Pretty good.
Leonardo wasn't even my favorite Ninja Turtle. He was, like, my least favorite.
Nobody liked Leonardo.
No, that's what I'm saying. I had the arguments on the playground when I was a kid that Leonardo was the best because he was the leader and he used swords. I was like, Donatello does machines, all right? And he wields a wooden stick with utmost efficiency. He doesn't even need the lethal weapon, right? Leonardo sucked.
Yeah, and that's why Mixer failed.
Exactly. So check us out. We are on Twitch now. Now we obviously stream the Streamaganza on Twitch for 3 days. We've got our weekly Sea of Thieves Stream of Thieves, every Sunday morning. Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. On Twitch now, but we're also going to be streaming a lot more on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming a lot more on Twitch with other DKU games on a regular basis. So stay tuned. That is dkvine.com/Twitch. So
yeah, you know how I wanted to get on the streaming thing and be like, well, maybe, you know, if I could stream, I could take up a rotation of like hosting the DK Vine stream one day a week, stream some games. I thought that'd be cool. And you know, my upload speed is 0.6 megabits per second. 0.6, Hyle.
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's not enough. It's like a little pinhole in a water balloon, and that's the internet connection coming through. It's just dripping out.
What you need to do is you need to hook up your Wi-Fi to your grandfather's oxygen machine to give that extra boost of power to get it over that hurdle, and then that's
the way.
And then you'll be a superstar streamer in a year. I give it a year,
and I'll have some kind of inheritance, presumably.
That's how all the greats get their start.
Get bequeathed upon. Let's do that. All right.
You think PewDiePie like got big based on hard work? No, he's sitting on a mountain of skulls of his own family.
Yeah, it's grandpa murder. That's what it's about.
Anyway, also this is a Sea of Thieves episode, right? Yeah. Why am I talking like a drunk? I don't know. This is a Sea of Thieves episode. This is the holy water really goes straight to your head. Let me tell you. And so I should plug your blog, Golden Sands blog post. But Jeff, why should I plug it when I don't care? You should plug it because you care.
I do care. Check it out. I've got a blog. It's called Golden Sands Blog Posts. You can find it at medium.com/golden-sands-blog post. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Golden Sands Blog, which is the Twitter account for Golden Sands Blog Posts, where I tweet whenever there's stuff on the blog.
No, let me tell you a little secret,
and that blog
Jeff. Let me tell you a little secret. You don't have to do any of that shit. You can just go to dkvine.com/Golden Sands blog post. I'll blip you right over there.
Look at that. That's pretty convenient. So check that out. And what you're going to find there is Sea of Thieves news, guides, detailed information, because as a living game, a live service game distribution model, there's new stuff happening in the game like every week. You know, there's like exclusive cosmetics being put up on Twitch and other avenues, and if you're not paying attention to the social channels, you can miss stuff. There's the new monthly updates every month, and I walk you through what's new, what is important and time limited, how to complete the challenges and content. So it's everything. It's all there.
Right. And
the whole thing.
Like, if Sea of Thieves was the only game I had to keep up with, I could probably do it myself with Rare's channels, their social channels, SeaofThieves.com, their YouTube channel. But I can't, because I have to focus on the whole Donkey Kong universe. And so I use Golden Sands blog post to keep myself up to date. So...
yeah, you know, Hyle, I'm pretty excited about where the blog's at right now, because we're coming up soon, about to hit my 2-year anniversary of running the blog for 2 years, and we hit our 200th post on the blog last week, 2 weeks ago, and our 500,000th viewer. So 500,000 views on a written blog, I think, is pretty good. I mean, it doesn't really touch what YouTubers can do on YouTube.com, but I'm not a YouTuber, so fuck them. But anyway, you know, check it out unless you don't want to, in which case you don't have to.
You know, you'll be a YouTuber if you just commit more grandpa side. I think,
It's why, I can't afford the camera. I need just like
and the thing is, like the worst YouTubers, like the ones you hate, like those CinemaSins guys, they don't even kill their own grandpas, like, because you just run out eventually, right? They go and kill other people's grandpas, and that's how they're so big. That's why
it's about catfishing. It's really about catfishing grandpas. That's what YouTubers and streamers. It's you convince them through a fake online account that you are the grandson, and next thing you know, you are a partner.
Yeah,
with Twitch.
The YouTube algorithm, I was wondering like why it favors certain individuals over others. It's all based on your grandpa body count. It's a sick
Google
industry.
It, people.
It is.
The grandpa body count, it's real. Anyway, this one got away from us, Hyle. Should we just start over?
They all do. Yeah, let's just start over. Let's reboot DK Vine. Let's just... So we're going to do things a little bit differently on this one. We do have 2 calls to take. I want to take those right away and then use those as the springboard for the episode itself. So we're going to be talking about the last 4 months, not a quarter, but a trident of the year of a trident tip of Sea of Thieves news. So let's take the first call.
Hey, this is Jeff's friend, G-Mancer, and my question is pretty simple. Is Sea of Thieves accessible to people like Jeff's grandpa? Can Jeff's grandpa play this game and feel like he can fit in? Thank you.
Well, thanks, G-Mancer, for the call.
Yeah, okay, so joke question aside, Hyle, I would say Sea of Thieves is accessible for grandpas. Yeah. Yeah, they can. No, like for real though, it's pretty crazy the diversity of like who plays Sea of Thieves. It's pretty cool. You see, like, there's families that play it together, and you'll have like 3 generations of. Actually, you know what? I think James Thomas, who is an employee over at Rare, basically everyone's favorite Rare employee, if they're honest with themselves. And I think that 3 generations in his household, that they play. I think his parents and his kids and him and his wife, I think they all play Sea of Thieves. So yeah, G-Man, grandpas can play Sea of Thieves. So just ask your grandpa, and he'll join you on Sea of Thieves.
I think what would appeal to grandpas the most about Sea of Thieves are the old boats.
Yeah, they would tell you a story about a boat they were on once. They'd be like, I rode a boat back in 1982. But there's also fishing. I feel like fishing is the grandpa activity in Sea of Thieves. He would like text you in the middle of the day and be like, "Look at the fish I caught in Sea of Thieves," and I'd be like, "Yeah, bone dust plentifin. That's a rare fish. Good job, Grandpa."
See, I would imagine a lot of grandpas would get upset that the fish aren't real, though. Like, they're not fish they can catch out on the lake.
I don't know. Well, let's just ask.
Let
us know on Twitter. Yeah. If you are a grandpa, let us know on Twitter what your feelings are on fishing and Sea of Thieves. And just grandpa life in general. Is it worth it? Let us know.
What we need to do is we need to seed our show, just one episode, to our grandpas. Let them host it. We'll call it Oops All Grandpas. And we'll just get their opinion on what the DKU, on everything DKU and Rare and Playtonic and Donkey Kong and whatever. From our grandpa's
I feel
lips.
like you get a grandpa on a Kongversation, they're going to think it's like some communist Viet Cong scenario. They're going to be like, I don't like anything with Kong in it because I'm a grandpa.
My grandfather is even older than like that. Like my grandfather, he's like approaching 100 years old. So.
Oh really? Yeah. No, my grandpa's too old to be in the Vietnam War. My dad was almost drafted into the Vietnam War, so that's. My grandpa, but he's only like 86, my grandpa. So he's a baby compared to Hyle's grandpa. What are they feeding that? What are you feeding that boy? Man.
Baby food at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty good. With like hot sauce or something. Grandpas are weird. Thanks for the call, G-Man.
Yeah,
you got
thank you, G-Man. G-Man, one of the many infatuated now with everybody's new favorite character, Jeff's grandpa. All right, let's take the other call.
Hey, Hyle, and hey, Jeff. Jabaha here with, my first call, and I don't even know how many episodes, but, yeah, I'm actually getting married in 2 weeks, and trying to plan around a pandemic has been, something. So, that explains my silence. But anyway, Sea of Thieves. I mentioned in a previous call that I am into Sea of Thieves now, thanks to you guys, and I've become a full-on fan. I'm still working my way up to Pirate Legend, but regardless, I'm actually in the midst of trying to get more into the Tall Tales and just playing more of the lore-related things and getting new cosmetics and all that good stuff. I don't really know what the point of this call was other than to say thank you for getting me into this amazing game. It's really, really great, and also I guess to say that I'm really thankful for these conversations in the midst of this awful time we're experiencing in the world. So keep it up, guys. Thanks for doing what you do.
Hey, thanks for the call, Jabaha, and congratulations on getting married at the worst possible time. Yay! You'll feel better once the whole planning and drama is out of the way. All the financial burdens of planning a wedding and whatnot. So,
but there's cake, so looking forward to that cake.
Is there? He didn't say there was going to be cake.
I love cake, Kyle. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm going to even address the rest of the call. I just want to let you know how much I really like cake.
I enjoy cake too, but I enjoy cake pops because I feel like you need to limit your cake intake. You need to always be wanting more cake, and if I just get a slice of cake, I'll be like, okay, I've had my fill of cake. But if you give me a cake pop, I'm like, that really whetted my appetite for cake, and you've denied me the amount of cake I actually want. I feel like it's true with everything in life, with food, with sex. You always should be left wanting more. Like, always be walking around horny and hungry. That's my motto.
Well, I kind of live by the same practice, except that I eat as much cake as I can get my hands on, and I still walk around horny and hungry. Although, I mean, I don't fuck the cake, so that could explain the horny. I'm not getting that. But, well, anyway. So, long story short, Jabaha, hit us up on the DK Vine social media channels so that we can invite you to our private DK Vine Sea of Thieves Discord server, where you will find other DK Viners that will play with you if you are looking for people to play the game with. And that same offer goes up to anybody listening. Let us know.
Yeah.
We can get you in there, and that's where we set up sessions to play the game.
Yeah. It's if you want to play with like-minded weirdos, if you want to play with people who will just talk about Grab by the Ghoulies while you sail around, that's the place to do it. So do it.
Do it.
All right. But yeah, it's great to hear that you're getting into the game. A lot of people are getting into the game as of late because it did jump to Steam. I almost said Switch, and that would have been crazy. But no, it's on Steam as of June 3rd. And in their first week, they've estimated something like close to 500,000 sales on Steam for a game that's 2 years old. So, like, I don't think I need to do any math for you to explain why Sea of Thieves is such a huge hit for Rare and Xbox at this point. But yeah, well,
not only did it sell well on Steam, but every one of those is an actual sale transaction.
Yeah.
For a game that is available basically for free if you're on Game Pass. So people who could just get Game Pass and have it for free chose to buy it on Steam anyway, and we don't know how many millions others have purchased the game and how many millions are just playing it through Game Pass, but it's just a breakaway success on pretty much every facet of metrics of sales, engagement with the live services of Game Pass and Xbox Live subscription models, and streaming, getting eyes on the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's been bumping lately with the Steam release, gave it a big bump. And then it's got the in-game purchases store that is also, I assume, a really steady stream of income. So it's...
Yeah.
I like Sea of Thieves, Hyle. That's it. That's my main thing. I like Sea of Thieves, and it's doing well, so it's cool.
I mean, I don't want to, like, gloat or anything right now, but I remember when I first played the game at Rare, because, you know, I got to visit Rare, and in 2016, and seeing, like, all the game was at that point was sailing and ship-to-ship combat. I mean, you could explore islands and stuff, but, like, the basic, like, structure of the game wasn't really implemented yet. It was essentially a show floor build of the game, like, for E3. Ironically, well, not ironically, but it closer to what the arena would eventually be, but even more scaled back, given how much I avoid the arena at times. Given my distaste for PvP, the game sold itself to me just with this build. And of course, I also was privy to a lot of what the plans were for the game and how it was going to grow and, like, what the structure was going to be. So I saw the potential and really believed in it. Like, this game is going to be amazing. And then I said as much, you know, in our videos on the Kongversation, and then it came out in 2018, and to pretty tepid reviews all in all, and there was all of this, you know, all of this kind of backlash from the traditional Rare fans and from, you know, outside, like, gaming media too, but over time, over the last 2 years, they've won people over. And now, like, I know IGN re-reviewed the game. They gave it the Paul McCartney's RAM treatment and re-reviewed it and said, oh no, actually, this is a great game. And just more and more people are discovering it. And now it's, like, part of the cultural conversation, or at least the gaming cultural conversation, in a way that a Rare game really hasn't been in over 20 years. And, you know, it's satisfying to me because I knew this game would be huge if people just gave it a chance. And sure enough, here we are. And it feels weird too, though, as somebody who has been, like, entrenched in the Rare fan community, you know, running DK Vine for the better part of 2 decades, to suddenly have this game that DK Vine plays every week, that we cover, be such a huge thing. And I feel like it's almost weird that, like, it's part of the broader gaming culture now, where I feel like I've made this comparison before, but I feel like it's when you're a fan of a band and they, like, hit it big, and now, like, all these other people are talking about the band, and you're kind of like, well, okay, I was a fan first, but whatever. That's not a bad thing, though. That's ultimately what we want for Rare. That's what we want for their continued success, and for this game's continued success. Like, this game can go for years and years and years with updates, and that's the plan, you know. But now they have the capital, the backing, the popularity to make it a reality. And it's not going to be a situation where, like, oh, we're shutting off the servers for Conquer Live and Reloaded. It's going to keep going well into the future. And so ultimately, as weird as it feels sometimes to, like, have this kind of eclipse, like, DK Vine and all the Rare fan sites like Rare Gamer, to have it be this bigger thing in the culture, like, this is what we wanted. This is what we wanted all this time for Rare at Xbox. So I'm just going to enjoy it as best I can.
Yeah, so welcome to everyone who joined it just recently on Steam. I know there's at least one DK Vine community member that just got really big into the game after it came out on Steam. So, you know, that's awesome to see, and welcome into the community. Because that's the other thing, is it's like, you know, DK Vine is a community, but Sea of Thieves is a community. It's like, it's not just this Rare fandom. It
Right.
is this much bigger, you know, other half of this Venn diagram that is, it's like fans of Sea of Thieves, Some of them are part of the Rare fandom, but they are a much bigger thing. It's this own massive fandom has grown around the game, which is great. So here we are catching up on the monthly updates, and I think the monthly updates are this past year of monthly updates is really been helping to drive people to be engaged with the game on a regular basis and not drop off like they used to. Maybe people might play and then drop off for several months and then come back, and now there's just this cadence, this rhythm of content and new stuff to do and see that is great. And that's probably a huge part of the game's continued success. And so, that's why you and I are here to talk about the past 4 months of February, March, April, and May monthly content updates.
Yeah, and these updates have really, I think, made the game fresh again. Like, fresh, it's a kind of a jokey term on DK Vine, but the anniversary update was the biggest update for the game at the time, and it added the initial batch of Tall Tales, and was that when the arena came?
Yeah, it was the arena, the Hunter's Call, fishing, cooking, Tall Tales, and the ship damage change, all that stuff was all in the anniversary update.
So that kind of made the game fresh, and they've even repackaged the game with a new cover to specify anniversary edition. It's the same game. It hasn't really it's just evolved to the anniversary edition. But with the last 4 months of updates, I would say the game has gotten another coat of paint. You could almost make the argument that it's almost like another new game. If you count the anniversary update as Sea of Thieves 2, this almost feels like Sea of Thieves 2.5 or almost Sea of Thieves 3. With the way the
I
game
like to
has
think
evolved.
of it as in terms of different SKU built like editions of the game that have been released. We are now on the third version because Steam is a new SKU, right?
I thought they were pronounced SKU.
Sure.
Well,
SKU.
is it? I mean, I say NES.
That's a way to pronounce
NES.
it. It's they're both, I think, fine. So,
okay.
But yeah, the launch release and obviously it's just been updated. So if you have bought that version, you still have the same version as everyone else today. But they did release a separate SKU called the Anniversary Edition, and that SKU, it was the same game except it did come with one set of cosmetics already unlocked, just like as a bonus. And then the Steam release, I think, now another year later, is a new SKU. And so I kind of do view it as like we're practically into Sea of Thieves 3 now, with how much they've just changed the game and added onto it. And what you said about making the game feel fresh, I think there's been 3 moments in time that have been this like there's updates that add more, and then and it's great because it's like, okay, there's more. It's more of that thing I already like. Then there's the updates that come out that are like they don't just add more, but they change what was there. Like really make it feel fresh. And I think the 3 updates for that have been Shrouded Spoils. When that came out, it was this big, I think, crystallizing moment of like bringing all the update content together and really dialing the game up to 11 and reinvigorating all these features that had been coming out. And then Anniversary Update, and then now probably Ships of Fortune, which we're going to be talking about. But let's start with February, Hyle. The Cruise of Rage update.
Right. So the Cruise of Rage, this basically, the big feature of this, where it got its name, was from the new cursed chest that they added to the game. Cursed chests are treasure chests. It's not like it curses your nipples or anything. But they're treasure chests that have this effect on you or your ship. For example, there is like the cursed chest that will make you drunk if you hold it. Like you'll have the effects of being drunk on alcohol and you can't walk straight. Then there are the chests that will weep openly and flood your ship. This introduced the Chest of Rage, which they get angry. They get angry and they explode in a fiery burst of fury.
Right, and so this was kind of coming at the tail end. If you listen to our last catch-up episode, where
episode
we had talked
802,
about,
by the way, if you want to go back from February.
Yeah, so we had talked about the Seabound Soul update introduced Ashen Treasures, and it was this kind of month-over-month campaign that it spanned multiple months, which is something they hadn't really done before. They all had a sort of theme over these several months that were all kind of tied into ashen fire theme stuff, and they all added in these skeleton tomes. Each month they added in 5 tomes that you had to collect to unlock pieces of the Ashen Dragon cosmetic set, and that went on for 4 months. And Cruise of Rage was the final month of that campaign, of the Ashen Treasures campaign. So it added in those new tomes. It had, in terms of Ashen theming going on, for the whole month, the only skeleton fort that was active was the Molten Sands Fortress in the volcanic region of the game, the Devil's Roar. And if you were to go there and do that fort while there's active volcanoes and stuff going on, you were guaranteed to find some of the new tomes in the vault, and also the Chest of Rage, this cursed chest, which is really the focal point of the whole update, is this Chest of Rage.
Yeah, and the Chest of Rage, you can use that to not only can you like cash it in for gold, but you can also use that as a weapon to fight off hordes of skellies or even against other crews if need be. It sends out like a shockwave of fire. So
I think that it was the Chest of Sorrows, the rain chest, that they kind of conceptualized these chests would be like a hamper on the player that finds it. Like, it's this valuable chest, but it has an added obstacle or risk, and yet they saw players use it as a weapon. Yeah. And I think they went back and designed this chest from the ground up to have that multi-purpose of you can manually trigger the fire effect on it by attacking it, or you can cool it down and make it chill out by just pouring water on it to make it less, angry.
Which is what, because they say, take a cold shower if you want to like nullify your sex drive. That just turns me on even more, because that's my fetish, Jeff, is cold showers. So
yeah, that's a problem. Yeah,
it is. But thankfully, there's no like chest of horniness in the game yet, because I am surprised that cursed chests were like such a big deal. I remember when they were first added to the game, like I think back in the technical alpha, maybe it was like right at the beginning, but it was like I felt like there were going to be more cursed chests as time went on. And it took until now for them to add a third one, which was just the Chest of Rage.
I mean, arguably, you could consider the Reaper's chest, which is like you see it on the horizon as this twisting pillar of light, and you go to that location, you find a chest, but the curse that is on that chest is that it marks you on everybody's map table, and they can hunt you down and track you if you have it. So arguably you could consider that functionally a cursed chest, even though it doesn't have the same kind of lore and like appearance as these other chests.
I don't even know if we know the lore behind those yet. We
really don't.
Yeah, they never like explained those in the same way that they've explained everything else, whether it's in the game or in the expanded universe. For more on that, listen to the episode Cameron and I did about the Athena's Fortune novel right before our streamaganza.
Oh, and you know what else? If you want more, if we're just going to plug other content, you should go back when we're going to get them up on YouTube. Hyle's going to get them on YouTube. But our Sea of Thieves episodes on our streamaganza, if you missed them, they're a good place to start. If you've never seen Sea of Thieves in action, or you just want to watch us play it, check it out.
Yeah, and then
tune us in on Sundays. So
we actually approached those as kind of like baby's first Sea of Thieves stream. So we were like showing off things that would appeal to more to the DK Vine crowd than they would like the normal Sea of Thieves crowd. Like, oh, here's some cool DKU aspects of the game. Here's some cool like historical rare aspects of the game. But we also played through the first 3 Tall Tales, and which are the lore heavy, essentially Sea of Thieves story mode. Even though the whole thing is story mode, it's very like integrated into the game, even outside of the Tall Tales. There is a lot of give and take as far as lore and story and the advancing plot, because it is a living world game, right? It's updated. It's a continually evolving world. So you've got these overarching narratives, but then you've also got like the lore stories that you can revisit at any time. So there's a lot of give and take there. But yeah, if you want to just have a good introductory, view party for Sea of Thieves, then these will be, and they will be up on YouTube very soon. I'm starting to put up all the Streamaganza stuff.
Yeah, so this Cruise of Rage update, this was kind of in a string of updates where they would add in a new feature, then add in a new set of challenges around that feature. So the challenges of Cruise of Rage, the new feature was the Chest of Rage. Then they added in this set of challenges, which are they're called Bilge Rat Commendations. But basically, the challenges for this one were, sell the Chest of Rage, discover it and sell it, and X number of times. But then also set skeletons on fire, with like a bunch of challenges around using fire as a weapon against skeletons. In the same update, also added in fireball crates. So fireballs were added earlier in the game, back in November. You have fire bombs that you can throw as a weapon. But then they added in these firebomb crates that you can discover that just, it's a resource crate that's loaded with firebombs. So that comes in handy if you want to set skeletons on fire. And the Chest of Rage comes in handy because what it does is you get in this sort of rhythm of you get the Chest of Rage and then you take it to shore with you to fight an army of skeletons, and you put the Chest of Rage on the ground and everyone attacks it to make it angry, and then it starts a fire. But it sets all the skeletons on fire, and then that helps you on the challenge. So you're trying to set skeletons on fire. And so the model of it is they add a new feature, they add in the new challenges. Those challenges are permanent. They're not time limited. They're still in the game. But then they add in a time-limited voyage that is only there for that month, but it makes it easier to do the challenges, and it highlights the gameplay feature. And so the voyages for this month were called the Raging Bounty Voyages. And if you go on that voyage, you'd go to 2 islands. You'd go into the Devil's Roar, which is the volcano region, and you'd dig up a Chest of Rage. Now, once you have it, then the second part of the voyage is to go hunt down a skeleton lord and his army of skeletons. His or her, because there's the 3 that you can have. There's the Duchess, the Mutinous Helmsman, and the Two-Faced Scoundrel. But anyway, you go hunt down one of these skeleton lords, and you can use that Chest of Rage on the skeletons to set them on fire if you want to complete these challenges. And it was very similar, I think, Hyle, to when they added in the Gunpowder Skeleton update back in year 1.
Yeah.
And then they had challenges around, like, okay, skeletons now can carry gunpowder, and they're basically like an explosive enemy. But they added challenges around killing them.
It's the same principle as Diddy Kong holding AT&T barrel in the Donkey Kong games, because the way they hold them and the same effect, it's exactly the same thing. They're holding exploding gunpowder kegs out. They're holding it out, and they run towards you. The only thing in this case is that there is a fuse that's lit, so they will explode so long as you stay within range of them.
Yeah, so I felt like the challenge of it, the Raging Bounty Voyages, I don't, and this was way back in February, but if you can remember it, if you could just remember it back then, I had a lot of fun with it, because I think the act of, like, showing up at an island to fight skeletons and then using a new strategy of, like, all right, crowd as many of them in together, get them all, try and get them all to crowd around this chest, and then light them all on fire at once, which was just a new way of fighting skeletons that we hadn't really, done as much. And And just setting skeletons on fire is a lot of fun.
Right, I know. So many grandfathers have experienced that at my hands, and YouTube will not acknowledge my presence.
Yeah, it's not cool to call grandfathers skeletons when they're alive, but Hyle does it because he's always pushing the boundaries.
I'm a forward thinker.
Yeah, you are. So the other thing this update did was they added in the key Stash Voyages to the black market, which allowed you to get the ashen keys you needed to open up ashen chests and stuff. Anyway, up until this point, we had kind of been frustrated at how often we would discover an ashen chest, but we would, just with bad RNG, we'd never find a key for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they added in this option to just like buy a voyage to instantly get a key, which was nice.
Which was nice, especially at this point where you just wanted to get the rest of those tomes and you didn't want to just do it through dumb luck. If you really wanted to finish them off, you could just buy key voyages or chest voyages at the outpost and then go dig them up there. And then,
right.
If you have enough doubloons in a given amount of time, you'll have all of the tomes, which I think are 20.
Yeah. I think it was the fact that what tome you get when you open a chest is also RNG. So if you went through the RNG of like, am I going to discover a chest today? All right, I did. Now am I going to discover a key today? Because the chest is useless if you don't have the key to open it. And then you discovered it, and then you open the chest, and there's a tome inside, and it's RNG, and it might be a tome you've already got before. So just having the option to bypass some of that RNG was really nice. And I have other ideas on how they could have just baked in some guarantees instead of RNG, but we don't have to talk about that. Anyway, it was fine.
I mean, my theory, the whole reason the tomes exist in the first place was that they had this directive to add more Xbox achievements, and this was the way they kind of nerfed that, was because each tome is a new achievement. So
yeah, but they've been adding achievements every update.
I know,
really, but even beyond the tomes. But yeah,
and honestly, I don't care about achievements that much. I feel like it's just something that exists outside of the game or in the Xbox infrastructure. I've never been concerned about my gamer score, but yeah, it's just funny to me because it feels like the only achievements that are really just there for padding, compared to everything else. That's just my theory. I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong about most things. It's fine.
It did feel nice to finally complete all the tomes and then
it did
be able to unlock the full cosmetic set, because each tome you discovered was one piece of a cosmetic set.
It did feel good, especially because I got them all before Cameron did, and usually he beats me in that kind of thing. So I got to feel like the big man for once in my life.
So yeah, and I'll talk more about this later in a future month that we're going to discuss. But I have an issue with this format of this update. That this format was very standard for updates up to that point, which was that format I told you of like, there's a new feature, there's new challenges, they're permanent, but then there's a limited time voyage to make the challenges easier or more. And then it's like, well, it's not time limited, but if you didn't do it at that time, it's going to be really hard to do it in the long run. It'd just take a long time or whatever. I don't like that format because I found the voyages to be fun, but they were time limited. And I'll talk about that later because that'll be tie into a future month thing. But I really did like those Raging Bounty voyages. I like the Chest of Rage. This is the other thing, is that the Chest of Rage has kind of disappeared from the game after this update. It's still there, but it's so rare that we don't get to play with it that often. And I want to. I like the Chest of Rage. So hopefully they have some plans to like make it more common. Yeah, because I feel like I run into all the other cursed chests way more often.
Yeah, there are some things they add to the game that like are the big focal point of a month, and then they're still in the game afterward. But it's like the rag and bone crates, which are kind of the most like pointless thing in the game. But like you'll still encounter them, but it's super like rare that you do. And I hate using the term rare when I'm discussing anything about this game or any of their games, because it feels like I'm like my vocabulary is very limited as a result. But it's like, oh my god, I haven't seen one of these in forever, and it's a huge deal. Like when the other weekend, when we were doing our off-stream server hopping session in order to commandeer 2 galleons to nerf some Reaper stuff, we'll talk about that in a bit. But in one of our server hops, we found a rag and bone crate just sitting in an outpost, and I was like, oh my god, we have to turn this in because I can tick this off my commendations. So anyway, yeah, but eventually it seems like they always do get back around to upping the frequency again. So I imagine they'll be back in greater numbers.
They do a good job, not immediately, but in the long run, of addressing like what stuff in the game has just fallen off of engagement, like, and then finding a way to, like, maybe it's as simple as just like, oh, this thing needs to be more common so people interact with it. Or it could be something like, well, we could do something new with gameplay to make players want to interact with this feature more. And they do that a lot, and they do a good job of it, but it usually does take time for that to get around and happen, because they're also adding new features every month and focused on that. And so, taking out like a long-term telemetric view of like what people are interacting with, they don't like, they aren't so instantly reactive to like change the way everything works every month. They do kind of do it very deliberately and with purpose. So anyway, yeah, I hope they do more with the Chest of Rage. That was a really fun update. It kind of low-key update, like people don't, I think it got eclipsed by the next updates that we're going to talk about. And so it's not one that's really celebrated, but yeah. Honestly,
like when I'm looking at all these updates, this is the least memorable one for me. I feel like I've really enjoyed the ones that came after more. And it might just be down to personal preference. You know, maybe I am not a crazy man who likes to set skeletons on fire like you are, Jeff.
That maybe
I have a moral compass.
Well, so there's just a couple other things that happened in this update. They added in the Viva Pinata chipset, which for DKU fans of lore was really nice, really cool, because it's a chipset that references all these Viva Pinata species, but also it bakes Viva Pinata into the lore of Sea of Thieves, as like all the pinatas off there in Pinata Island are a kind of rumor legend that the pirates in the Sea of Thieves are aware of. They're like, oh, there's this magical island out there full of weird candy creatures, and they know of it, and that's cool.
Well, yeah, like, because that's the thing about Sea of Thieves, is that it is a prequel to most rare games, a sequel to a couple, sequel and a half to some, but it is obviously like Banjo-Kazooie is a big part of the lore of Sea of Thieves. I mean, off to the side, when I say it's a big part of the lore, I'm not saying like Banjo-Kazooie is a central focal point of Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves lore is the focal point of Sea of Thieves, but you've got a lot baked in for Banjo. Viva Pinata, though, is, I mean, tangentially related to Banjo, and it's been referenced in Sea of Thieves from the start. We've had cave paintings in the ancient isles of pinatas, like the three main ones: the Horstachio, Fudgehog, and
Pretz-tail.
Yeah. So this kind of further elaborates on that, and basically that pirates sailing to the Sea of Thieves have like discovered Pinata Islands, or they call it Paradise Garden in the rumors and legends. They never refer to them as pinatas, but they know them as these like magical candy-filled creatures, and a lot of pirates consider it just a bunch of bunk, but some are adamant that it actually exists.
Yeah, and they do that with a lot of, there's kind of the same story behind Cameo, and then coming up in a future update, they did that same kind of explanation for Saberwolf, the idea of this like magic wolf guarding an amulet or whatever in a jungle somewhere. It's the same kind of thing of like, well, the pirates all have heard stories of it, and none of them are quite sure if it's true or not, because pirates like to tell stories, but it's all true, like Star Wars.
All right, Han. Yeah. All right, Han.
So then they added in the pirate appearance potion, which
sorry,
we got to get the daily Star Wars. It's a quota, right?
I just imagine that scene in The Force Awakens, but like Harrison Ford holds up a Nintendo DS with like Pocket Paradise on it. It's true, all of it.
It's all true. So they added in the pirate appearance potion, which allowed you for the first time ever to to like re-choose your character.
It's regeneration.
That your pirate looks like.
It's Doctor Who regeneration.
Yeah, without like resetting all your progress, which is something people wanted forever. Not something you or I would ever use because we're so attached to our characters, our pirates.
I wanted my pirate to look like a cross between Sean Bean and Christopher Eccleston, and I'm happy with that decision.
Yeah, and my pirate kind of just looks like me, so it still works. I like it.
He looks exactly like... I don't know how long that took you, Jeff. I know you've told me before, but it just seems illogical that you would have stumbled upon a pirate that looks exactly like you.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good pirate. So we mentioned this update kind of went a little under the radar, and I feel like looking at the traffic, I study the traffic I get to my blog, views and clicks and everything. I felt like this update was a little like it was not engaging very well with people, and I don't think it was necessarily the update's fault so much as maybe it's just a February slump. I think there will be
it's also February
ebbs and flows.
February, February, everybody still had jobs and social lives, and the world hadn't come to a complete halt yet.
You always get this big bump around the holidays, of like video game traffic. People playing it, buying it, whatever. And then I think by February, the bump is firmly returned to normal or gone away. But anyway, my point is,
thank God for coronavirus.
No, don't. They probably saw that, their numbers were down as well, because then the middle of this update, they launched this live event called the Hunter's Hall event. And it was the first of its kind that is kind of become a theme in all the future months that we're going to talk about. But it was this like weird, like they got this way on their website. They have set up a page, and just outside of the game, without pushing an update to the game, without baking in, any new UI, any new, anything into the game itself, without pushing any update, they have this way of they can track your stats and track things you do, like selling fish, which was this one, and then they can distribute rewards outside of the game. So, rewards that you'll get in game, but. Anyway, so this Hunter's Hall event was sell 300 fish in 2 weeks or something like that. Sell these Ruby Splash Tails.
They all Ruby Splash Tails, right?
Yeah. So it was sell a bunch of Ruby Splash Tails, go fishing in the game and sell the Ruby Splash Tails, and you'll get this cosmetic figurehead. And it was weird because we want the cosmetic figurehead, right? But it was not a commendation or anything in the game itself.
Yeah.
And I think it was this way of them to just be able to promote more engagement without having to push an update, without all the added UI and all the added, physically changing the build of the game.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Onan. It certainly worked on me because, one, I'm three things when it comes to Sea of Thieves. I'm a lore whore, right? I am a completionist when it comes to commendations. But also, if there is a cosmetic that I can get, I'm going to get it. I think the only cosmetics I missed out on are those ones they gave out a few promotional sales. Obviously there's the golden banana one, but then there was the one if you completed ridiculous tasks before they made them easier within the first few months. They did these overachiever sales. There was one, if you were a pirate legend by the 1 year anniversary, you got these special things. I wasn't, so I didn't get those, but those are the only ones I missed out on. And, I've gotten everything else. I bought a lot of, Chips Ahoy to ensure that would happen. And so I have to get cosmetics. And so, this was the first time I really dedicated myself to fishing in game. Obviously, I fished in the game when they added the anniversary update. But for me, I was concerned at that point about becoming a pirate legend, getting to level 50, which was at the time the highest in the original three trading companies, Gold Hoarders, Order of Souls, and Merchants Alliance. And so now that there were two new trading companies, Hunter's Call and the Sea Dogs, I was I'm not going to focus on those because I'm still focused on hitting level 50 in the original three. And then I just never really picked it up. But this made me really focus on fishing for the first time. And Ruby Splash Tails, for those that don't know, those are the most basic fish in the game. You can catch them in any part of the ocean, anywhere on the map. You don't have to have bait. And even if you have bait, a lot of times they'll be what you reel in or what will attempt to bite your worm. So, I was like, we all like teamed up, did a lot of off-stream fishing, and just at Seapost. And eventually, like, I got all of the ruby splashtails, not just for this event, this weird website event that wasn't even tracked in-game per se, but I got all the ruby splashtails on my Hunter's Call in-game commendations. And to see that check mark triggered something in my brain, this like very like primal thing in my brain that my vegetarian self has never experienced, where I wanted to kill things. I wanted to kill lots of things, and besides grandpa's. And so I decided I really care about fishing in the game. And to make it easier on myself, like I imagine it's more like a Pokemon situation where I'm capturing these fish, but they're going off to like the ocean that's upstate, right? Like this little retirement Sea of Thieves that's just north of this Sea of Thieves. They're not actually dying. When I cook them, I'm just giving them a lovely suntan. But yeah, I suddenly got really addicted to fishing in the game and collecting them all, catching them all. And that's something I'm still obsessed with right now, where I will just play the game at odd intervals in a week, just for an hour or so. I sail to a seapost with the bait I need to catch the fish I need, and I fish, and I love it. And it's kind of changed the way I play the game, and I owe it all to this event.
Yeah, so that was actually, I had a lot of fun with that. There was like a couple different sessions where people in our DK Vine Discord, like Sea of Thieves Discord, we got like more people wanting to play together than could fit on one server, like on one galleon. And so we had like 2 different servers going with the galleon on each. But like, so eight people, but we all hopped in one voice call. And so like we're on separate servers, but just like parked at a seapost fishing on a big phone call of 8 people, just kind of like shooting the shit, fishing in Sea of Thieves. That was it. We did that like for several hours on several different days to get all the fish. And it was really relaxing. It was a weird it's a weird bonding thing to just be like, yeah, we're just going to sit and just like chit chat while we do this very idle activity in a video game. I don't really remember doing anything like that in any other game before. Yeah, it's weird.
No, it's relaxing for me in the same way that walking around the grass outside of Pallet Town in Pokemon Red and Blue is. Like just leveling up your Pokemon mindlessly. It's the same kind of tranquil. The only thing in this instance is you still have to watch out for other ships on the horizon, because even though I'm just fishing at a seapost, I have gotten attacked many times by people who just want to watch the world burn and just want, oh, that person is just fishing and minding their own business, I'm going to kill them. So there's still that threat, but generally you can avoid that if you're crafty enough. Or if you go to like a seapost that's not frequented often. But I found that Stephen Spoils and North Star, they're bad for getting attacked at if that's the one you sail to, because it's in a very busy
centralized
part of the sea.
Kind of.
Yeah. But I love it, and I was like initially skeptical of this, and I still am skeptical of some of these events they're doing, because as we'll talk about in a little bit, this has become a more regular thing, their way of kind of driving engagement with the game outside of just the usual monthly updates. And some of them are kind of more miss than hit, but this one really like affected me in a way that like it has inspired me to actually play the game on my own more and just do things like fish and like not focus on the big like events or the big story driven stuff, but just kind of do my own thing lackadaisically.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good. It was kind of otherwise a sort of low key update, came and went, but that Chest of Rage as a focal point feature was pretty exciting. But then the next update had a much bigger impact, I would say, which is the March update. Actually, update came out right around the game's 2-year anniversary in March, and that was the Heart of Fire update.
Right, which sounds like some sort of like John Tesh album, but it's actually a Sea of Thieves update, the one from March.
The one from March 2020, because there have been a lot of Sea of Thieves updates in March, but not always this same March. Yeah, so crazy. So there's a big thing in the update, which is the tall tale, but I kind of want to talk around that first and to just get the other stuff kind of wrapped up quicker, because that was the big update. The big feature was the new tall tale, right? But they did have some other like changes that really mixed things up. There was chain shots and blunder bombs as 2 new kinds of like ammunition of like cannonball types and stuff. So chain shots or cannonball they're like 2 cannonballs chained together, and when you launch them out, if they hit the hull of a ship, they do very little damage, but they can instantly cripple a mast. Yeah, they take a mast right down, which is huge.
Think of it as like firing a nunchuck out of your cannon. It basically just shatters the mast, and of course, from the anniversary update, mast can be knocked over now, which can essentially like cripple a ship. It will just like you can't go anywhere if your mast is down because you lose a sail. So then your crew has to focus on fixing the mast. So this has kind of changed the way ship-to-ship combat works, because a lot of times that will be the first thing people will go for is let's take the mast down so they can't get away. So then that requires that. Then if they jump on your ship and they start like dividing and conquering, and you can't fix your mast, then you've got problems.
Yeah, it's added in, I think, more tactical decision making in the moment, because you're like, if you're coming up on a ship in a fight, and we got some experience with this in the arena, but it basically like you have to decide, that other ship, they're all lined up on their cannons. Should I fire cannonballs at their deck level to hit them and knock them off the cannons and maybe kill them? Should I fire at their cannoneers to stop them from being able to fire at me? Or do I aim below the waterline at their hull so that they start taking on water, because that is ultimately the way to sink a ship, and it will also kind of divide their attention because they'll have to go and repair it? Or now I have this new tool where I could cripple a mast, and maybe that'll stop them from being able to escape, or maybe it will, it'll make it easier for me to board them, whatever. So you've got all these kind of options. And then the Blunder Bomb is the other one, which was basically a portable shotgun shot, like a throwable. You can launch it from a cannon, but it also is a throwable item, which the first of those was the fire bombs. Now we have the Blunder Bombs, and it basically is like a burst knockback area of effect damage that kind of it's sort of like the shotgun, the blunderbuss weapon.
Yeah.
But you can carry these throwable items on you, and then you don't even have to have a blunderbuss equipped, or you could have. It could basically be like having more ammo on you, because your gun only has 5 shots on each weapon, but then you also can have 5 of these in your pocket. And this has definitely changed up some ways of like, it's made it easier for people to kind of board a ladder, or it mainly for us, it's easier to like, it's now give us a way to shoot each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really care for the Blunder Bomb, because the only thing that's really changed in the game is that people like Breagle will use it to kill me when I go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well, so the normal weapons, the firearms and the sword, you cannot damage your own teammates. Like, it just goes right through them. But throwable items do damage your teammates, and so it's really funny when Hyle is like standing on the bowsprit at the front end of the ship and looking out like he's goddamn DiCaprio, and I just stand up behind him and throw a blunder bomb and knock him into the ocean.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's a great time. Everyone laughs at it, including Hyle. He loves it.
It's like Battletoads co-op, where you're just getting beat up by your own crew member or team member. It sucks. I hate it. and everybody picks on me. Why does everybody pick on me?
It's good. It's fine. Everyone is. It's good for everybody, Hyle. I don't see how you don't see that. Anyway, so that was one. The Blunder Bombs, I agree. They haven't really had a strong, impact on drastically changing the meta or anything, but it does provide a new set of options. It can change things. I think in general, people will rather use fire bombs as their throwable item if they're going to board another ship or whatever.
Yeah.
Starting a fire is a more useful distraction and offensive tool than having the portable Blunder Bomb, but it does have its situational uses, which is great.
I have to say with the fire bombs, really quick, one thing I wish they would dial back is how easy it is. Like when a fire starts on the ship, it's one thing, but then it's so easy for you to catch on fire, your pirate to catch on fire, and then for them to spread that fire elsewhere. So when you're trying to put out a fire, a lot of times it's never ending because your pirate's on fire and then that fire spreads elsewhere and you're just kind of chasing your own tail. I wish that self emulation would be dialed back a bit or make it a little bit harder for that fire to then start other fires.
So you actually don't spread a fire from your body to other parts of the ship.
Really?
But it doesn't spread from your body. So like if you're on fire and you're walking around a part of the ship that's not on fire, you won't start a new fire there. But you do spread it to your teammates, it does get really annoying, especially because when there's a fire, everyone goes running to one location, the water barrel.
Yeah.
And so when someone's on fire, they run to the water barrel, and along the way, they set everybody on fire. And then they all run away to go put out fires. But then it becomes this, like, you're only on fire for a few seconds, and then it goes out. But because you're all running over top of each other from the same location, it never goes away because you keep spreading it back and forth to each other like some kind of, I don't know, novel virus. But... yeah, that can be frustrating. The fires can get out of control, but I think a lot of it comes down to, like, not allowing it to get out of hand in the first place. Like, the sooner you put out a fire, the easier it is to take control of, because sort of like a virus.
Sort of like I was going to say.
It's when there's only one little fire to put out, you can put it out. But when the fire is in 5 different spaces, and each of those spaces is going to spread to adjacent spaces, now you're really trying to stay on top of something that's spreading faster than you can. Like a virus, people. I don't know. And then they added the Athena's run of Thieves Haven, which was kind of the... outside of the Tall Tale, this was kind of like the monthly, like, task to do. Although it's not gone away.
Thieves Haven is one of the biggest islands in the game, one of the most complex islands in the game, and it's also like very rooted in the lore of Sea of Thieves. Minor spoilers for Athena's fortune, but Thieves Haven was where the pirate lord first had a base of operations in the Sea of Thieves, and so it's a voyage, I think, concocted by him, to basically, bury treasure there and give Pirate Legends a little extra challenge. These new Athena items, which are only available to Pirate Legends or those sailing with Pirate Legends. But Pirate Legends have to initiate the quest. And before this, there were only Athena chest of legends, that you would get on Athena voyages. And that was the only way to boost your Athena rep, which is basically the faction that you achieve when you hit Pirate Legend.
It's like end game. It's like your end game kind of.
So sort of end game, although in Sea of Thieves there is no end game because there's monthly updates and new stuff's getting added all the time. But if you
they add a lot of horizontal progression, like things that are all at the ground level that you can add new stuff to do. But then in terms of vertical progression of you can do this after you've done this, after you've done this, in terms of if there is an end game, Athena's Fortune is it. And it's basically just a company of reputation that is remixed versions of the other companies. You do the same kind of treasure gathering, skeleton hunting, delivering cargo, that kind of stuff. But like you said, there originally there was only the Chest of Legend. It was do this hour to 2 hour long voyage, and at the very end of it, you get a chest of legends, and it's the only way to raise your Athena rep.
By the way, Horizontal Progression is the title of my upcoming sex tape.
Yeah, I directed it at E3 2019.
I thought you said I erected it, and I was like, well, that too. That's also...
Yeah, if I'd say I'm the director, but instead of a D-I-R, it'd be a D-E-R, and then the word erect would be in a different font. That's my business card. So then they added in these different types of smaller Athena's Fortune loot items that you can get along the quest that will give you a little bit of Athena Fortune rep instead of getting a lot of it in one big end reward. You can get a little bit each step of the way.
But it's good because it diversifies how you can get the Athena's rep, and also because the Chest of Legends were such huge targets, because it did take so much to get them, and then there is a commendation for having a stolen Chest of Legends, so it becomes this thing where it's so fraught when you get one that this way you can just kind of level up a little bit, but it spreads it out and makes it a little bit less stressful of a situation.
Yeah, and so this was kind of in the long run of updates where they tried to drive interaction by including a feature that drove everybody to one location. They've done that a lot of different times. Yeah. And so the idea was, if you're on this voyage, you're going to a Thieves Haven repeatedly. And since this is the big new thing of the month, a lot of people will be doing this voyage. So you might run into other people also going to Thieves Haven, which could drive either positive or negative interactions. Like it could make it an obstacle for you, or you could have threats out on the sea. Or it could drive people together and make them form an alliance, because if we're in an alliance and we're both getting these Athena treasures, we're both going to end up getting more profit in the long run if we just let each other be. And then it's this way for the players who can't participate, because it was sort of end game content only for Pirate Legends or their friends. But if you weren't a Pirate Legend or you weren't sailing with a Pirate Legend, you could just stalk Thieves Haven, because you know where the Pirate Legends are going to be this month. They're all going to be going to this island, and you could try and get in on the action and steal their loot, and then you'd still get credit for it, even though you're not a Pirate Legend. Yeah, and that was kind of the gameplay loop of the month. It was fine. It was good. I think my favorite thing about it, Hyle, was that you said Thieves Haven is a big island that's very complex with its layout, and it's hard to read on a map. But being forced to dig up treasure repeatedly on Thieves Haven for a month has just made me a lot better at it. I struggled in the past to be able to decipher the map and the landmarks and find where I needed to dig. And it was just like, oh, I have a map to Thieves Haven? Fuck that. We're not going to do that map. We'll do some other quest. And now it's just being forced to practice it. I really like Thieves Haven. And the thing is, I've always liked Thieves Haven. It's an awesome island. But now that I actually know it really well on the map, it is less of a pain in the ass. So I can go there more often.
It's still a pain in the ass for me, but it's fine. I know it a little bit better now. But when the treasure is buried up on the higher levels of the island, it's too much for me. I'm bad at reading the maps, and I'm better at reading the maps than I used to be. The X marks the spot maps, but I still have a ways to go to match you or Cameron or Briegel or really anybody I sail with. But the central conceit of Thieves Haven is that you can sort of dock your ship inside the island where people can't see it. So there's this big alcove.
Arches.
Yeah. This is kind of like a centralized cave location, and you can kind of raise your sail or set anchor inside there. So if somebody's sailing to Thieves Haven, they don't know from a distance that you're already there. And there are benefits to doing that, and there are hindrances to doing that. But that's why when you make that a big centralized location for a month, and even to this day, because there are still the Thieves Haven runs are still purchasable from Duke. So you can still do these, and a lot of people are still doing them. But yeah, when you make that the big hot spot of the month, then of course that's going to create conflict. And just the other week, we were not you and I, Jeff, but it was me and Briegel and Dre. We were attacked by the popular streamer Pace22 at Thieves Haven, and didn't go so well for us.
Yeah, I heard about that. I actually watched it on Pace's stream because Briegel linked it. And so like they had a guy on that server, a brigantine, that saw you guys going to Thieves Haven repeatedly. You were pirate legend emissaries, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And they knew that you were going to have just a ton of loot and a grade 5 emissary flag, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And so they kind of stalked you and waited and like let you do the voyage for a while. And then when you were getting close to done, they were like, hey, they're just a friend of Pace, the streamer. They're like, hey, join my server. I've been stalking these guys. I'm ready to attack them. And so he joined in. They hopped in a rowboat and just rowboated over to your ship. And you guys had a stronghold gunpowder barrel in the crow's nest, and they blew you up, which is honestly like an honor. I wish I was with you when it happened, because I don't get to say that I've been sunk by Pace22, but you do get to say it. He is, I would say, the most famous like PvP focused streamer. He wins every like invitational arena competition that they run. He's just he's really good at the game, and he's not a bad guy. Just, he likes the PvP, but he's not a sore sport about it.
No, fuck that. That's like saying, I was killed by the Manson family. What an honor. No, I'm not going to accept that.
It's a PvP game, Hyle. Like no, okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong or immoral about him stealing your treasure. The only thing that is bad about PvP is if you steal the treasure and then you say a bunch of profane slurs and talk trash over the microphone. That's bad. But just kill, if they didn't want you to kill each other, they wouldn't give you guns. It's a video game. Anyway.
I bet I could beat him at It's Mr. Pants.
I bet you could. And I bet you'd make him cry, too, because you'd start calling him names and being a dick about it.
Yeah. So anyway, what else was out of that month? It was
they had the costume was the reward for doing the Thieves Haven run, and this was the first time they added costumes, which is like, and this is, I think, a little controversial that you and I are not really in love with costumes.
No,
maybe you like them more. Maybe you've changed your mind, but it's like normally you have these cosmetics. You have a hat, you have a jacket, you have boots, you have gloves, you have pants, whatever you want, and you mix and match whatever you want. You mix and match from hundreds of options and make the outfit you want to have. And these costumes are like, no, this is one item that is head to toe a full outfit. It's not mix and match compatible. Like, you can't have a different hat when you're wearing this outfit. You have this look. And it allows them to do some stuff you can't do with other outfits. Like, you have types of belts and chains and flaps and braids and things and pouches and whatever that you can't do in a mix and match outfit, because they have to, like, if you had pants like that, they'd have to work with every different possible t-shirt or jacket or on every body type, etc. So it allows them to make some cool looking outfits that they can't make otherwise. But it also kind of lessens the customized uniqueness of every character.
I think in certain situations, costumes are good or would be good. For example, the One Tall Tale, where you have to dress as a member of the crew of the Morning Star. That would have been well suited for a costume. But that was before costumes, so you had to put on all the little individual pieces, and it was kind of nonsensical. But I would have been fine with costumes there. But what I don't like about costumes is, like, you put them on and they have little features like a peg leg or a hook. And if you're a pirate, if your pirate doesn't have those features, which usually imply that you have, like, lost a leg or a hand, if you're a pirate, if that is not part of your personal lore for your pirate, and that's what our pirates are, right? We're building our own story. Then I feel like that's a betrayal a little bit, and it's kind of like logic goes out the window. And so I'm not a big fan of that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
The fact that your character can have a peg leg and then not have a peg leg takes you out of the logic of it. And you know, you and I, the way we treat our pirates, like my pirate does have a hook hand and a peg leg, but I like made it a part of the story of my character of how they lost their limb, and then and now they don't have it. So I would not put on a costume, for instance, that would just give me 2 legs and take away my peg leg, because that wouldn't make sense. My pirate only has 1 leg. Anyway, that's just how, you know, you and I look at it. It would be nice to have more features to it, where like maybe they could make it so that the costume just adapts to whether you had or did not have the peg leg on when you put the costume on.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't so blunt in the way it kind of overrides everything else about your pirate. And my pirate, he doesn't have too many like battle scars. He's got a shark bite from the Megalodon from the Hungering Deep event. And he's got the tattoo that Merrick gave him. And then he went blind in one eye after he stared at a solar eclipse, which was a really stupid way for him to get an eye patch, but I honored it, and I have an eye patch as a result. So, and then he cut his hair when he became a pirate legend because, you know, he went corporate. But besides that, I don't like saying like, oh, and now he has a hook for 5 minutes, because I'm like, what? But that's a personal nitpick. You know, I realize other people wouldn't have that problem, but usually the game's very good at allowing that like level of customization, and I feel like costumes don't. Plus, I'm afraid like they're gonna get way too silly. Like we've seen the Ruby Splashtail costume, the Ruby Splashtail Monarch costume, which introduces like this weird notion of like in lore there's a legend of this like, Ruby Splashtail Emperor or something, like this almost merfolk, but he or she is a Ruby Splashtail person, and there's this costume where you look like you're a freak. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it's the Emporium, the in-game purchase shop, like the real world currency shop, is like it kind of gives them the free reign, and this is with any game, and I do like that they restrict that kind of, the more out there concepts to the Emporium shop, because I don't know, it just feels a little separated from the real like main game. But yeah, you will run into players wearing just wacky outfit, and you're like, what? You're a fish person? Okay. It breaks a little bit of immersion because the outfit really does make you look like you are a fish person with scales and fins on your body, and it's right. Like, are you wearing elaborate prosthetics? Like, and then you can instantly change out of the outfit. So, anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Costumes are a new thing. They're some. Like you said, if they put it in that one tall tale where I could just instantly equip the Morningstar outfit and then take it off instantly and just have my other stuff back on, then that'll make the whole system worth it, because it'll just make that one time on that one tall tale not a huge pain in the ass, and then the whole thing will have been worth it. But so far they haven't done that. So please do it if you're listening and you work at Sea of Thieves, rare. Yeah, or just Microsoft. If you're Phil Spencer, use your connections. If you're listening, just please call the appropriate people and make it happen. The Morningstar outfit.
If you're listening and you work for Sea of Thieves Industries Incorporated, please fix this thing about the game, and also add TT in the game. And also, can we get a leaky the bucket? Can we get just like banjo item skins? And can we
I want the Viva Pinata shovel skin.
Yes. Yeah, like a leaky bucket, a Viva Pinata shovel. There's a lot you could do with it. Also, I want a Timbers Island. Tankard. I want a Timbers Island ship cosmetics set, because you own most of Diddy Kong Racing, sans a Diddy or a Crunch. So could we get a Timbers Island ship cosmetics set? Thank you.
All right, yeah, that's our list. It's a very modest list of demands, or else we will quit playing this wonderful video game. No. Okay, so Hyle, the next thing is, do you want to talk about they did more of these kind of live events, a bunch of stuff to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of the game? Yeah. And that was a bunch of stuff they did, or do you want to talk about the Tall Tale?
I don't even feel like we need to talk about the anniversary live event, because all it did was it offered cosmetics from like one cosmetic that was time limited and attached to this original event. The big events that they don't really do anymore, but that were a feature of the first year of the game: Hungering Deep, Cursed Sails, and Forsaken Shores. You could get, I think it was was it the drum, or was it the speaking?
Yeah, you got Merrick's drum. I think the Bone Crusher sails.
Yeah.
And then like I don't remember for Forsaken Shores what the item was, but
I already had them all, so I didn't even bother doing any of this, but
it was a simple little event. It was basically just like, okay, for this week, it's a Hungering Deep themed kind of trip down memory lane. Like, we're honoring the Hungering Deep. So for this week, you get some bonus rewards if you kill megalodons and sharks. And it was like a week-long challenge and then like a daily challenge. And go and visit Merrick's journal again. So you're kind of... People, when they heard the pitch of what was going to happen, they thought it was like they're bringing back the Hungering Deep event, which is not what they did. No. I know there's probably a huge demand for that. But instead it was more just like, no, we're just going to have some daily challenges that will kind of be themed around the event that came before, and you can get some bonus rewards for that, and a chance to earn one of the limited cosmetics from that time. Yeah, there's not like much to say here about all the stuff they did, other than the fact that it was continuing this trend of having these weekly like live events on the website that were just like separate from the game. They didn't push an update. They rewarded you with cosmetics for doing these daily or week-long or 2-week-long challenges. And yeah, and that just became this increasing thing that they built up momentum of doing these more and more as these months went on. Until it culminates with the Event Hub, which we're going to talk about towards the end of the podcast.
I haven't even checked the Event Hub this week, if they have anything going on.
No, as soon as they have something going on, you'll hear it from me. Because I make sure you don't because sometimes that stuff really slips under the radar. They'll just drop it on the website like, hey, there's a new event and it lasts for 2 weeks, and if you do it, you get a cosmetic. And like, if you didn't see them tweet about it, which is easy to do, then you're just going to be like, oh, I didn't even know this was going on. And so you really just have to have me in your Discord circles to just like tag you and be like, hey, everybody, look, don't miss it. Yeah. That's what I do.
But yeah, in addition to that, they also had the Conquer ship set in the Emporium, which was something that we were waiting for a long time. Obviously, they did the Baron Bird set, they did the Perfect Dark set, Killer Instinct set, Viva Pinata, and then finally it was Conquer's turn.
Well, you missed Cameo, but yeah, Cameo. And then...
So yeah. Sorry, yeah. I always miss Cameo.
How could they forget Cameo? They didn't even mention Cameo. The one Cameo fan at home is so outraged. It's sorry, Chris. It's Chris Alcock. Yeah. He's listening.
No, but the Conquer ship set was branded as the Royal Sea Squirrel ship set, and I think, like, lore-wise, it's a little bit more nebulous than something like the Banjo-Kazooie set, which was viewed as this prophecy of this Baron Bird that the ancients of the Sea of Thieves had. And then, of course, the Viva Pinata ship set was Pinata Island is out there and it exists, and this one was more like a kind of like Cameo in a way. It was like this fable of this squirrel who became a king, which I guess could be viewed as prophecy in terms of like the DKU lore, our perspective of things. Yeah. But
it's not very directly tied. It's more of like just like telling a story of like, oh, there's this king squirrel who likes to get drunk, and it's obviously an homage to Conquer, but it's not really a direct call out of like Conquer exists in this world.
Yeah. it's a nice ship set. It's very nice looking. I don't think I like it quite as much as the Bear and Bird set. But it is, I think, more elegant looking. Like the Bear and Bird ship set, it's kind of gaudy and cartoony looking as a Banjo-Kazooie ship set should be. This one's a little bit more muted, but it's got the nice figurehead of a squirrel holding a frothing tankard of ale, and incorporates squirrel tails for cannons, and it's got an acorn capstan. And my only nitpick with it is that nowhere in the ship item descriptions do they mention Ted the Boat Builder, which would have been such an easy Conker's Pocket Tales reference when they never make Conker's Pocket Tales references, but they never reference Conker's Pocket Tales unless we hassle them to reference Conker's Pocket Tales. So I guess I can't get too upset.
I Am Gibbon in the live stream chat has mentioned that they assume that the ship set is referencing an ancestor of Conker, someone in the dynastic line that Conker hails from, and that's what I've said before too. I just think that it is a precursor to Conker, of like it's probably a reference to the same kingdom that Conker eventually becomes the monarch of.
The only issue with that is in pre-established Conker lore, I don't believe we've ever had a squirrel king. There's been the Weasels who were the kings up until the Milk Wars, and then when it all went south, and then there was the Panther King took over, and that's kind of all nebulous and nonsense anyway. But yeah, I guess there could have been a squirrel with the Squirrel and Panther alliance. There could have been a Squirrel King at one point. I don't know. But yeah, it was a nice ship set, and I'm glad it was nice to see, because I feel like Conker, by virtue of it being more of Chris Seaver's thing and not being part of the kind of Greg Mayles DNA that's like very prevalent in Sea of Thieves, I feel like Conker really doesn't get referenced much in Sea of Thieves, so it's nice to have that Conker reference at long last.
Yeah, and it would have been easy to throw off little homages to Conker throughout the game, like a tankard that mentions a drunken squirrel, or one of like the 9 taverns in the game could have been named the drunken squirrel, just like an homage to Conker. But they didn't do that, and that's fine. But this ship set's great, and the same kind of month they added in the Ori themed ship set and the Bleeding Edge themed ship set, which are kind of like nice, because they up to this point they have referenced other Microsoft properties from the other Xbox game studios. They had Gears of War and Halo, and Gears of War and Halo obviously are big IP for Xbox, but it's nice to see them referencing these other games coming out of Xbox game studios, Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Bleeding Edge, which were 2 big releases this year. And then I think since then they've now just recently added the State of Decay themed ship set from the game State of Decay. So I think you're just going to keep seeing more of those with every major Xbox Game Studios release.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like with the rare IPs, they usually bake them into the lore of Sea of Thieves, and they do the same with all of these Xbox Studios IP ship cosmetics too. Sometimes they do it in a really radical way. The Bleeding Edge ship cosmetics in particular, that actually ties into the game Bleeding Edge in a really interesting way. Because it's a tit for tat situation, because they have Bleeding Edge ship cosmetics, but then they also have a Sea of Thieves cosmetic in Bleeding Edge. And the particular way this transpired, which we haven't really talked about yet on the Kongversation at least, is that Bleeding Edge became a cameo game in the DKU due to its ship cosmetic, the Gold Border. And, so in Sea of Thieves, the Bleeding Edge ship cosmetics, And by the way, you can watch me fail spectacularly playing Bleeding Edge on our YouTube channel right now as part of the Streamaganza videos that are already up. But the Bleeding Edge ship cosmetic basically introduces this rebellious faction of pirates who disavow the pirate lord and his ways and the whole structure he set up on the Sea of Thieves. So they're called the Mutinous Fist, and that's what the ship cosmetics are called. It's not referred to as Bleeding Edge, it's referred to as the Mutinous Fist. And it incorporates imagery from Bleeding Edge. The fist, in particular, is, in this case, the emblem of the Mutinous Fist. And the, what is it, Daemon?
Demon. His name's pronounced Demon, but it's spelled with the A-E, that kind of, old way of spelling it. But, okay. He's the character, he's the star of Bleeding Edge. He is the one who formed Bleeding Edge, which is the name of basically their fight club. It's like an anarchist group that's like fighting against an evil corporation, and they do it by like having street fights for fun with each other. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, that's the lore of Bleeding Edge. But yeah, basically retroactively makes it so that this brand new game from Ninja Theory, Bleeding Edge, is kind of a far future spin-off of Sea of Thieves in a way.
Yeah, it's because Bleeding Edge takes place in the year 2057, and Demon, who is the main character, I guess, of Bleeding Edge, in this case, retroactively, he draws inspiration from for the Bleeding Edge from the Mutinous Fist, this rebellious faction of pirates. And so even his mask or what facial adornments are taken from this ship cosmetic, I guess. And it's actually made a DKU game, though, because of the gold border, which incorporates... So in the game, they have hoverboards, right? And that's just a way to fast travel around the arena. But in this case, the gold border, which you could get for 1 week if you just had Bleeding Edge installed. So I actually bought Bleeding Edge. I have Game Pass, but of course I bought a physical copy, Jeff, because I'm like, oh, new DKU game, I gotta commit. The gold border was available for 1 week at just this time-limited promotional item. I don't know if it'll come back at some point, but the gold border incorporates the decapitated skull of the Sea of Thieves character, the Gold Hoarder, and it's presented in such a way that his soul is still inside of the skull, or his memories or whatever. It's glowing green, as decapitated skeleton lords and captains, their skulls do in Sea of Thieves, the ones that you deliver to the Order of Souls. Anyway, long story short, we consider it an official appearance of the Gold Hoarder in the year 2057. His final fate is that he is essentially a figurehead himself. His skull is the figurehead of a flying surfboard. So, yeah.
It's great, and we're probably going to do some episode about that in the future, I would imagine, maybe on a tribunal.
I have to get better at it, so the episode isn't just me saying, wow, I wish I was better at this game.
Yeah, well, it took me a while to get good at it, and I've put a lot of hours into that game. I got all the achievements, and I bought the most expensive cosmetic in the game, which is great, because the most expensive cosmetic is a trail that flows behind your hoverboard, and this particular trail is a trail of gold coins. And it's not related on purpose to the Gold Hoarder, but I use those two cosmetics together so that as I'm riding around on the remains of the Gold Hoarder, I'm spitting gold coins behind me, which is something that the Gold Hoarder would be particularly like insulted by or made angry by, because he's losing all that gold. Anyway, it's pretty fun. We'll probably talk about that on some future episode. When people are like, what the fuck is Bleeding Edge? And we're going to have to just do an episode about it.
Yeah, I haven't even read the YouTube comments, but I imagine that's what they are. Why the fuck are you playing this game? Why aren't you playing, I don't know, Barrel Maze? What is... Anyway, so all that's going on.
I think we've talked about everything we can except for the Tall Tale.
Yeah, let's talk about the Tall Tale. So... I love this Tall Tale. I think this was your least favorite Tall Tale in a long while.
No, I've come around on. I like it a lot. There's aspects of it that I objectively have always thought were excellent. It's just some attributes of the way it is that is not how I want them to do Tall Tales, but I'll talk about that.
Okay.
But basically, yes, it's called The Heart of Fire. That's where the monthly update gets its name from.
Yeah, and this follows on from Seabound Soul, which was the first of a new set of Tall Tales telling a new story. The first Tall Tales that were all kind of dumped together. You could play them. You had to play them in a certain order, but then you could play them at different orders in like the middle sections. But basically, they followed a linear story, telling the story of the Shores of Gold and the Gold Hoarder, and your encounter with him. But this new set, starting with Seabound Soul, basically is leading up to the return of Flameheart, or well, he's returned at this point, but the return of this fearsome skeleton lord named Flameheart, who he is gathering forces into Sea of Thieves, trying to return. He objects to Sea of Thieves becoming so silly. Essentially, he was a fearsome pirate, and he hates that there's all these festivals and just like silly ass slapping.
He doesn't like alliances. He wants the pirate life in the most cutthroat definition. And in the way I like to think of it, the Gold Hoarder as a villain is very much like in the shadows, just doing his own thing. And he's not even like really manipulating anything or has any scheme. He just wants to get the most gold he can get. And that's it. He's just out there. He's almost like this animal force of nature, just the physical embodiment of greed. But Flameheart is a much more hands-on, like, I have a scheme and I'm going to take over the Sea of Thieves and change things way. He basically, I think of him like, he's kind of Lord Voldemort. Although, we've talked about Harry Potter enough lately, but it's basically like, yeah, he was this bad guy in the past and he went away for a while, and now he's got these followers kind of manipulating things in the shadows to try and resurrect him, and once he comes back, he tries to take over the wizarding world, and that's pretty much the whole plot of Flameheart. But we're in the middle of that plot. Which was
also what Andros was doing in Star Fox Adventures. It's just there's this deceased bad guy who's trying to return to life, and he has advocates and followers who are doing his business while he bides his time as this ghostman.
Yeah, and so we're to clarify things, we are in the middle of this story. This is an ongoing, there was a tale, the start of the tale was in November, then there was a tale, this March was the Heart of Fire, and we haven't yet got the next chapter of the story, but it's an ongoing story with some lore filled in like month to month as well. That's the kind of the benefit of the living game structure.
Yeah, basically everything they've added to the game since Heart of Fire, well, even before that, but Flameheart has a direct hand in a lot of it. And so he is changing the game from month to month and adding new things. It is outside of just the Tall Tales themselves. So it's really cool. And I said there's that give and take between the Tall Tales, the lore, and just the game mechanics themselves. This is really where it's displaying that. But the Heart of Fire Tall Tale, it follows on from Seabound Soul. It involves the character of Sir Arthur Pendragon once again, or his ghost, from the Ultimate Play the Game Pendragon series, which this kind of serves as the fifth game in the Pendragon series in a way. But this is, it revolves around him trying to free the souls of the crew he sailed with on the Black Witch. And anyway, long story short, you have to go into this lair, I guess Flameheart's lair or Stitch Jim's lair.
The Heart of Fire is Flameheart's lair, and the reason we know that is because a couple months before that, Duke the Bilge Rat was missing from the game for a while, and Stitcher Jim was in his place handling Bilge Rat business, and when Duke came back, he said that he had been to the Heart of Fire and it was too powerful for him to get out of there. And that's how Duke lost his eye. And ever since then, he's been a bit like castrated almost. Like Duke is just like, he's drunk all the time, and he's not really the same character he used to be. And I think
Jeff, I have to say, losing an eye, that's not what castration means.
But why do they call it cataracts then? If it's not cat, it's all tied together. Cats have eyes, cat's eye. I don't know, man.
Duke is like suffering from PTSD at the moment. He is, you just see him like cowering in the tavern, and he used to be this very boisterous figure, like quoting Toucan Sam to follow your nose. And now he's just like unsure of himself, and he just, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to see, where they took that character, but.
So, it basically is the Heart of Fire is Flameheart's lair, and the tale is about us traveling to the lair, traveling through it, which is basically just a series of traps in dungeon, and trying to rescue the crew of the Black Witch, whose souls have been kind of bound by Stitcher Jim and taken, because binding souls to objects is like a big plot device in Sea of Thieves to get around the fact that the game has a respawn mechanic.
Yeah.
Is that, you can't respawn if they put a curse on you and bind your soul to Earth, So anyway, that's a big part of the lore there, and that's the main plot of this tale.
Yeah, and, Tall Tales are different in mechanics. Like, not every Tall Tale is not the same. And so Seabound Soul was very much kind of like almost just in this interactive movie. There was very little involved with it. You went from point A to point B, you saw some cool stuff, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of Bad Fur Day, right? It wasn't like heavy on gameplay, but it was heavy on spectacle. And I'm not like throwing shade at Bad Fur Day. That's what makes Bad Fur Day Bad Fur Day. That's what makes it such a unique, and special game. Heart of Fire, on the other hand, was a lot more kind of platforming action. Similar to some of the past Tall Tales, where it's a lot of running and jumping and like going through these traps, and it's a dungeon. Yeah, that's what it is. So kind of like an adventure game, a platforming game, all rolled into one. And I loved what they did with it, because there are 3 different paths on this one, because you have to replay all of the Tall Tales. The initial batch, you have to replay them 5 times to get all the cosmetics and commendations. With the new batch, they've dialed that back, thankfully, to 3, which is a lot more reasonable. But
I think they didn't expect people to sit down and do it 5 times in a month like some people did. But I think it was more like they were more like, hey, you are going to be playing this game for years, potentially, and they want to encourage you to want to have to repeat it with other friends. Like a new friend joins the game, you do the tales with them. And so that, but 5 times was probably a steep requirement. Now there are only 3, which is nice. But like you're just about to say, this one really makes it worthwhile.
Right, because there are 3 different paths in the Heart of Fire, so it means you can have a different experience each time you replay it. And there's journals to read in every Tall Tale that add extra lore. If you care about the lore, you can seek out the journals and read it and get that extra context, which I love. But in this case, the journals are hidden between the 3 different paths. So not only do you have can you play the 3 different paths each time you replay this Tall Tale, but you have to get all the journals. So it was probably the most well thought out as far as replay value goes. So that way you can have a different experience and still get the commendation and cosmetic for playing it all 3 times, which is why I think I've seen this, more people have this one than any other as far as the Tall Tale, I played them all, rewards go. So, but yeah, I love this. I love like the pseudo platforming action in Sea of Thieves. When we did Shores of Gold, I was like, impressed with myself, because I'm usually the slowest one in the game to like get good at something. And my natural platforming abilities kind of came out, and I was like, scaling the kind of obstacle course in the Shores of Gold Tall Tale. I didn't do so well in this one though. I kept tripping up, but it's still a lot of fun, and then you get the spectacle at the end. You get this really cool sort of living cutscene that you can interact with, where, you know, you see like Stitch or Jim get a bit of its comeuppance, although his story isn't over yet. And you get some like lore tie-in with the Masked Stranger, who we now know is Wanda, who is the main antagonist of the Cursed Sails event. And then she's become this devoted follower of Flameheart, which ties into this other big change that would come the next month to the game, this big new defining trading company in the game. But yeah, anyway, I love this, and I love the Tall Tales. I really think the Tall Tales are the thing in the game that I really wanted to be in the game from the beginning, and that I was hoping for from the beginning. And things like Hungering Deep sort of scratch that itch, but I still had the rash, while actually having Tall Tales and new Tall Tales coming in every so often has completely healed it up, and now I've got nice clear skin again.
Yeah, so there's a few things this Tall Tale does uniquely that are cool. Like you said, the 3 doorways, the 3 paths you can take, which is not just like a great gameplay thing, but it's also a really spectacular visual when you are going through the narrow like swimming channels, and you come out into this big cavern, and it's got like 3 doors to choose. That's like a really cool moment, and I think that in general there's like really amazing environmental design of the way that they set up those, like when you enter a room, this is what your eye is drawn to, and this is what you look at, and it's this big, like almost like a cool enough scene that you could just print it out and put it on your wall and call it like, you know, an awesome painting. Like then there's the one when you get to the end of the path and you come out into the big river of lava with the ghost ship, and then you've got Stitcher Jim up on the ledge and his shadow is cast on the wall behind him. Like it's all laid out physically so that when you are walking through the paths, this is what you see, and this is when you enter this big room, that's what you see, and it's really well done in that way. They really dialed up the spectacle and the visual payoff and on everything. Another thing they did really well, a new innovation, is that this isn't the first they've done the traps in kind of platforming, but they added in fire-themed traps, which are really nice, because in the past, traps, when we say traps, I'm talking about like an Indiana Jones style dungeon with like, you know, spikes in the wall that will impale you and like things like that. So in the past, all the traps have been insta-kill, insta-death, but the fire traps are not insta-kill. They set you on fire, which is a gradual health depletion that you could recover from. And so they're instantly makes the whole thing more enjoyable, because it's not as unforgiving, and it's a little bit more like, you know, you can mess up and not make a perfect run but still survive. Some of the traps are still insta-kill, like falling into the pit of lava as you're trying to make jumps, platforming jumps, and Hyle did that a lot.
Well, yeah, I did, but, you know, hey.
But it's okay. But yeah, so some of those are still insta-kill. And then the other thing they do that's nice is that they brought this feature over from the Shores of Gold, which is these mermaid statues that act as save points, checkpoints, so that when you do die and then you respawn at this point still down in the dungeon instead of respawning back at your ship.
Right, which is the thing that keeps you sane when you keep falling in the lava, because at least you don't have to do the whole thing over again. Yeah,
that would be insane.
So it's a little bit more video gamey mechanics than you usually find in Sea of Thieves, but you know, I'm a fan of video games, so I will allow it.
Yeah, and so I guess that when I say that, when you mentioned earlier I wasn't like huge on the tail, it's not true. I do like the tail a lot, and I really enjoy playing it. I really think that they've knocked it out of the park in everything they were trying to do. They nailed the execution of what they were going for. It's just not exactly what I want the Tall Tales to be, because from Seabound Soul into this one, it's like focused on the spectacle of telling a story with amazing cinematics and visual effects and cool shit, and they've done an amazing job at that, with that being their goal. But I kind of liked the tales that felt more like they weren't a different kind of activity than a normal voyage, where like you could go out on a tale and you're sailing around to normal islands. You go to an island, you solve a puzzle, then you move on to the next island. And that's not unlike doing riddle quests or X marks the spot quests, except that there's more story to it. And then the puzzles are more unique and crafted for it. But you're still out on the seas interacting with other players and kind of you're playing Sea of Thieves in the shared server, doing a voyage like everyone else is. It just happens that your voyage has a unique puzzle to it and a unique lore to it with the cool journal. These past two new tales have taken in a different direction to kind of try and like seclude you so that you don't get your tale interrupted by anyone else. It doesn't feel like you're voyaging around the seas like every other pirate. Instead, it feels like they're giving you a way to like escape from everything else, so you can just enjoy these good cutscenes and watch a cool movie. And it's not all just cool cutscenes in a movie. Like you said, this tale is very gameplay focused, with the gameplay being platforming and traps in a dungeon. But it seems like they're really focused on making this separate instance almost of like, you're away from other ships, you're doing a private thing with your friends and experiencing a story. And I kind of was interested to see how they would better integrate the tales into regular voyaging life around the seas, instead of trying to find a way to make it easier for you to have a tale experience that's secluded. And this tale is like the most secluded one, except for the Shores of Gold, because you're in a dungeon under an island away from, like, you're not sailing around. The other thing that I don't like is that the new tale books, like, this tale book is boring. There's nothing good about this book at all. And the tale books, like the quest book, was my favorite part of the Shores of Gold series, because every tale was a really unique book with its own kind of amazing art and the way that they delivered a puzzle to you by reading the pages of the book. It was different each time. It was really great. And in this one, in the Seabound Soul and in this one, the book just tells you directly, sail to Liar's Backbone. And then you get there, you do something, and then you get a page for your book, and the next page of the book says, sail to Devil's Thirst, and then do something there. There's no puzzle, there's no creativity. It's the book, like, once you get to the Heart of Fire, the book never comes back out. There's no reason to, like, look at the book. And I just felt like we lost something there when it's like, just sail from point A to point B so you can experience some cool visual effects and cutscenes, and let's dial down the puzzle element, because they're too tricky, too cerebral. Like, other players can't figure out the puzzles because 90% of people are dumb. And so it's like, let's not focus on puzzles. Let's focus on cool visuals and cool story and great execution on those fronts that everyone can just very easily walk through without any struggle of puzzle solving. And the puzzle solving was the part I liked in the old tales, and they basically just abandoned it now. I hope, and we're only 2 tales in, and every tale is its own different story. So
right, like,
they could bring them back.
I like the variety, and unlike the Shores of Gold campaign, these ones are being released more episodically and allowing room to breathe and allowing that kind of month-to-month, like almost like the monthly updates now are kind of intercals between each new installment of the Tall Tales for the Flameheart story. So I really prefer this method of storytelling rather than just the binge playing that was Shores of Gold.
I like that for sure.
You know, and I like that. I like the variety. So I'm sure we will get more puzzle solving and more of that incorporated into future installments. But I do like in this case, like, this Tall Tale was this whole hidden underground labyrinth that was never seen before. And I like that they're able to continue to add to the world without completely disrupting what existed before. So, and you could still interact with other players in this. It was possible that somebody could be waiting you out when you exit the Heart of Fire and ambush you. I mean, that's apparently happened. So, hasn't happened to us, thankfully, but, there are, I think, antidotes out there of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just kind of was looking at, after Shores of Gold came out, the Nine Tails, I was like, okay, now that they've done these and they can see kind of how people react to them and how people are doing them, how are they going to go back to the drawing board and think about how they can do more of these, but even better integrate them into the existing gameplay loop of Sea of Thieves, of voyaging around the seas, interacting with other players. And it seems like they went to the drawing board and were like, well, how can we dial up the cinematic effect, which is great. I love the cinematic effect of both of these tales. But like, how can we do that, but then simplify the journey of it so that it's more instant, more secluded and private, so that you don't have any, negative interactions, so that it's not, but it doesn't feel like I'm playing Sea of Thieves anymore. It feels like I'm playing this side mode, a side mission. And I wanted to see, maybe they'll get really creative on how they make a tall tale feel like a regular voyage, and then it's something that I would want to repeat over and over, not just 5 times, but a lot of times, because it's a voyage I can go on and just, and they've gone a different direction with it. But the thing they are trying to do with it, they have executed on really well. It just happens to be not exactly the thing I wanted them to do with it, but the execution is perfect. It's an amazing story, amazing visual effects, really fun platforming gameplay, dungeon gameplay. So, it is a 10 out of 10 tall tale. I would just hope that the next tall tale maybe is a different kind of approach, and that we get more variety. Sure. And you just don't see the variety when you have to wait 4 months between installments. And that's probably where all this is coming from. So it's not and that's not anybody's fault. So, it is what it is.
But I love waiting 4 months because it allows, again, the month-to-month updates to feel like they're building up to something.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
We should talk about Ships of Fortune, the big April update, which, came at a time when the world was essentially in lockdown. And I think a lot of people had more time on their hands, or were at least stuck at home. And so playing the game was just an escape. And it was a well-timed update in a lot of ways. And this update had the most substantial changes to the game that we've seen since the anniversary update. And I would say all but the arena have been immensely positive additions to the game, in my opinion. And you might say the arena, what they've done to the arena has been positive too in some circumstances. But for me, the emissary system has revolutionized the game in that it's made the core gameplay tenets that were there from the start matter again. And
it brought them back to the forefront, for sure.
Brought them back to the forefront, like doing voyages for the Gold Hoarders or Order of Souls or the Merchants Alliance. For a long time now, and we'll talk about what emissaries are, but for a long time now, I felt like the focus of the game has dramatically shifted from that to, I've got to worry about these time-limited commendations that are going away after this month. I've got to worry about this one particular task. And those are still aspects of the game in evolved forms, but now I feel like the heart of the game, once again, is what was there from the beginning, and that is finding treasure, battling skellies, delivering cargo. And it's made them exciting again, which I didn't feel like they could be. But the emissary system has just, in a lot of ways, made what had grown stale exciting and vibrant again.
Yeah, it's great. So what the emissary system is this opt-in new sort of upgrade to trading companies. It's where if you have to be level 15 minimum in order to purchase an emissary flag, and it's that trading company, say the Gold Hoarders, it's them saying you are a valued business partner of ours. You've proven that with your high reputation. And so we will let you represent us. You are now an emissary of the gold hoarders. And that is allowed for this kind of enhanced role-playing, which a lot of people are really into of it. I'm not just some pirate doing some grunt work. I actually am like an emissary on behalf of the trading company. And so what it does for you is and this is session-based. This is not a permanent upgrade. This is like you can choose when you do or don't want to partake in the system. But it basically is saying, I hoist up this flag, communicating to the entire world, I am an emissary of the gold hoarders. As long as I've got that flag up, I will build up a grade of like how much work I've done that day. So I start grade 1, but if I go and I do some gold hoarder voyages, I get some treasure, I will maybe hit grade 2 all the way up to grade 5. The more treasure I get, the more I raise that grade. And each grade applies a multiplier to all of your progress, of your loot, like the gold you get, the reputation you earn with the company. And so it's basically like saying, all right, you put this flag up and you could just go build up a multiplier on treasure. However, by doing so, it makes you more of a target. It increases the reward while increasing the risk, because you not only are you communicating your intention to people. When you have the flag, it says, I'm a grade 5 gold hoarder. People who see that are going to know you probably have a ton of treasure because you're grade 5 gold hoarder. And I know what voyage you're doing. I know you're doing gold hoarder quests. And this is for they have them for all the other companies, but the gold hoarder is just the example I'm using. So on top of that, they raised the level cap on all the original companies because most of us hit the level cap, level 50, a long time ago, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that they raised the level cap, so now I can start progressing as a gold hoarder again. It can go all the way up to level 75 now. That makes getting gold hoarder treasure instantly like meaningful again. But I can do it with this optional multiplier system, which increases the kind of risk. It makes me want to hoard my treasure more, because like if I'm a grade 3 and I sell my treasure now, I get some multiplier. But if I save that treasure and I wait until I hit grade 5, it's going to be multiplied the most it could be, which is 2.5 times. And so it encourages people to hoard their treasure, but that again increases your risk because you can lose it. And all of this kind of ties into the other major change, which is the new trading company, the Reaper's Bones.
Right. And this is actually the reason the emissary system exists in the first place, because there was this uncharted island around the middle of the map of the Sea of Thieves that had some activity. I believe it was the island that Merrick crashed on. The killer whale crashed on, and it was kind of set up in the Hungering Deep, like the remains of his ship. And then this masked stranger, who we later found out was the Skelly Wanda, former weaponsmith of what was it, Golden Sands?
Golden Sands Outpost, yeah.
Yeah. She was replaced with her twin sister named Wanda, but on Golden Sands, but she became a Skelly. She was cursed, and she found the remains of Flameheart's ship, or she found the cannon from Flameheart's ship, and that's where cursed cannonballs came from. Anyway, long story there, but she became this masked individual who set up on this uncharted island, this unnamed island, and it became known as the Reaper's Hideout in the months leading up to this. And so she would offer all sorts of extra rewards if you would bring her certain treasure. And then all along, like month to month, there would be this structure that was slowly being built on the Reaper's Hideout. And then in the Ships of Fortune update, we finally got the grand unveiling of what was being built. And we still don't really know what's going on there, but there is now this new building there, new structure there for this new trading company, sort of trading company, called the Reaper's Bones. And the whole point of the Reaper's Bones is basically a trading company that fulfills Flameheart's ideology of being a true pirate, stealing and murdering. PvP.
It's a PvP.
Stealing and murdering from other pirates. So the other trading companies are like, oh shit, we need to build loyalty to our brands with the pirates. So we're going to offer extra rewards. We're going to offer this emissary program so people are devoted to us. But then you've got the Reaper's Bones out here, this new trading company who are dedicated to mayhem and murder, and they're looking to sink ships, and they're specifically looking to sink emissaries. So that is where the central conflict of the game really now rests.
Yeah, and it's this amazing system because PvP has always been a part of the game, and it's never been directly rewarded other than, if I sink you, you might have some treasure that I steal. But I don't. But the fact that I don't know what you have until I board you and kill you already, that's like been an issue. Is like, I don't know who's doing what on the server. I don't know what's going on. The emissary thing kind of gives this increased heightened awareness of what other people are doing from a glance. You look down the spyglass, you see a ship on the horizon, and you can see, oh wow, they're an Order of Souls emissary. They must be doing Order of Souls skeleton hunting voyages. And so it instantly creates that more of a bond of knowing what other players are doing. And that obviously helps the PvPers because it helps them to track down which ships have the treasure. It also probably helps the non-PvPers because they can kind of slide under the radar if they choose not to be an emissary. Again, the emissary stuff is all optional. It just gives you a multiplier. And so if you choose not to be an emissary, you might be less of a target for PvPers. But what they've done with this PvP faction, the Reaper's Bones, by giving you this structured reputation company around PvP, they've basically said, like, we're going to reward you for doing PvP, but there's going to be a structure and kind of some gentleman's rules about it if you want to do this. And it kind of really reins in the PvP in a way that makes it more predictable and combatable. Because there's a few things. One, the Reaper's hideout at the center of the map is the only place you can take treasure if you are trying to raise your Reaper's Bones reputation. So if you're going to steal treasure, you have to take it to this central location, not anywhere else. And that makes it, that's a choke point. That's a hotbed for PvP activity. You might run into other Reapers that are just camping that location to steal the treasure from you that you stole from somebody else. Or the person you stole it from knows where you're going to deliver it, so they can try and head you off and get a second chance to get it back. It's just the fact that you've got this hot spot, or you have to go to this highly contested central location to do your bidding, instantly makes PvP a little bit more reined in, and they've got to play by that rule. They've got that rule now to PvP. On top of that, the Reaper's Bones also have an emissary system like the other companies. So they can get a multiplier on their loot that they build up that multiplier as they go on the session. Getting more treasure, stealing more treasure, killing more pirates, builds the multiplier. However, anytime that you choose to be that emissary, it will put your location broadcast on every player's map. So you can't. So it's kind of like saying, okay, if you're gonna be a PvPer, you have to announce it to the world in sort of, you give away your sneakiness. Right. And that's another way that kind of just, they put this rule there now. It's like you can get some PvP rewards if you play by this kind of gentleman's rules, and that gives us more of an even playing field.
And this is just an evolution of the idea. There had been, and still is, the Reaper's Mark flag in the game, which would announce your location. And then there are the Reaper's Chest, which are visible on the map. Even when you bring them on board your ship, then everybody sees, oh, this icon is moving. Somebody has a Reaper's Chest, which are taken to the Reaper's hideout. So this is just the, I think, culmination of all of those ideas. That now you have this permanent faction in the game that if you do sail as an emissary for them, oh, guess what? You're going to be exposed on the map for everyone to see. And it's become a ritual since they've added this that when we first start playing, we always check the map. Are there any Reapers and where are they? And should we server hop? Because if we're not in the mood to evade PvP players, and if we have something like specifically we're setting out to do that could be a hindrance to, we server hop. Or we weigh our options and say, no, they're not going to be a problem. We're going to stay away from them, or we'll take them on, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It depends how frothy we're feeling, how much, our loins are, a flame. What? I don't know. So anyway, yeah, it's basically this whole new way to experience and play the game. And it really hasn't upended anything as far as, oh, now the game is far too chaotic and you can't do anything because everybody's like sailing as a Reapers. When they first added, like the first week or so, there was a bit of that, but it's really just leveled out into the new normal now. And I think the game is even more fun than ever before. Like it hasn't, as somebody who really doesn't have an appetite for PvP on most days, it hasn't really changed the way I play too much, except for being cognizant of it, being on the lookout for it, and adopting new strategies. But that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's what's great about it is it's kind of changed the way you interact with other players by giving you more tools. You have I can kind of see what the other players are doing, if they are an emissary or what kind of emissary they are. If they're a Reaper's Bones, I can watch them on the map, and I can use that to evade them, or I could go after them. And the other thing is that, like, the Reaper's Bones are not, it's not just like, oh, we're going to pay you to be a PvPer now, and so everyone's going to want a PvP and it's going to become chaos. It's not like that, because you get in this sort of, it almost acts as putting a bounty on your head, like a notoriety type of system. Like, the more evil you are, the more high-level PvPer you are, people might come after you. And especially when there's more than one Reaper's Bones on the server. Because if I'm a Reaper's Bones and I'm trying to sink ships and steal their treasure, and I can see there's another Reaper's Bones, like kind of an outlaw on the server, and he's sinking the same ships that I'm going after, this town ain't big enough for the both of us, and so it creates conflict between the PvPers. And so that, again, is just a way that has sort of, it's brought PvP to the forefront, but then put it on this sort of like, okay, but it's going to work like this, there's going to be a structure to it, and that's going to make it easier for everyone to kind of know how this works, and it's not going to be so random as just like, oh, well, these guys boarded my ship and killed me 100 times for no reason and then killed my chickens. Like, it's there's a lot more tools at your disposal there now, and they have more of a structured goal as a PvPer.
The only other thing I'll say about this is it's interesting. Our friend HuntMac discovered when I was streaming Donkey Kong Country 2 during the Streamaganza that the Gangplank Galleon seems to have a Reaper's Bones flag flying at the top of it. I believe it was grade 4 Reaper's Bones flag. If you look at the map screen. Yeah,
so it's a pennant. When you are an emissary, you have a pennant flying from your masts, and then the pennant has stripes on it to signify your grade level as a emissary. And so with Reapers, it's a black pennant with red stripes, and the Gangplank Galleon has a black pennant with 4 red stripes and a black and red flag at the aft of the ship, at the stern pirate terms of the ship, and so it basically, that's all the stuff that a actual Reaper emissary would have. And so it's a nice little bit of, like, possibly intentional, possibly not, but, like, it's just a fun Easter egg.
Right, like, probably not, but you know what? It works for us, so we're gonna roll with it. It works for the conceit of our shared universe, so why wouldn't you say that K. Rool sails for the Reaper's Bones in some form or fashion in the present day? Anyway, so they also added a new feature this month, or during this update, that really does change a lot of PvP encounters, because now you have the option of reviving a crewmate.
Yeah, the revive feature. So it's like, okay, if you in the past, if you got killed, you would go to the Ferry of the Damned and wait to respawn, and then you'd come back to your ship. Now, when you get killed, you don't actually get killed, you get downed, and you're kind of like incapacitated as
You're dying.
Your spirit starts to leave your body, like it's on its way to the Ferry of the Damned. But a crewmate can come up, and if they hold down the button prompt and then carry it out for like a couple of seconds, they can bring you right back up, and so you'll come back with like a little bit of health, but you didn't die. You just saved having to go through the timer of waiting to respawn, especially when you're doing something like away from your ship, like if you die on an island.
Yeah.
Or somewhere, get revived, and then you don't have to respawn back at your ship, and that's really nice. But yeah, this has just been a massive change to just like combat and the way you play in general.
I just have the visual of your pirates performing mouth to mouth on each other, resuscitating, and it makes the game extra hot for me.
Okay,
we
yeah.
have like we have little private makeout sessions when in the
actual
battles.
The actual animation you do when you're reviving someone is really funny to me, because it's not a like resuscitation like mouth to mouth. All you're doing is standing over their like incapacitated body and just kind of going like, come on, get up, you can do it, come on. Like you're making hand motions like, yeah, come on, you're fine, you get up, you can get up, come on, let's go. And it's just kind of like a pep talk, like, oh, I didn't die because you talked me out of it. Which is pretty fun.
I think that's the federal government's way of handling coronavirus now.
Come on, you can do it, get up, you're not dead, come on, you're fine. Yeah, no, you're probably right. So that's been a huge change. Emissaries, Reaper's Bones, the Emissary Ledger, which is like actually a global leaderboard with each trading company, which is a really cool change, because it's like you've got this global leaderboard with all the trading companies, and they've got rewards tied to them if you were to make it in the top tier, but they've made the bands of each tier 25 percentiles, which is a really broad, so if you're in the top 25% of players of delivering treasure for one of the companies that month, you will get a reward for doing that. And it's a monthly thing. It rolls over on the first of the month. And that is a really cool thing, because when I say they raise the level cap for a company, raising the level cap kind of just kicks a problem down the road. It like delays this issue of like, well, once I reach max level, there's no reason to do gold hoarder voyages anymore. But with the ledger, the leaderboard system, they can add new rewards in the future, and you can just make it, you might just be motivated just by the fact that it exists. If you're one of those players that reaches the level cap really quickly and you're a really dedicated player, you might just be motivated to try and climb the leaderboards. And that's something to keep you engaged every month instead of just a level cap that you can hit the end of.
Yeah, and also if you feel like, oh, I never have time, I'll never get into the top 25%, it's honestly not that hard. If you just really focus up on one trading company or even two. I mean, I've accidentally like just fallen into second place in some of them without even making any effort. So it's definitely doable, and the items you get for getting in the top 25%, they're not time limited. So it's not like you have to get in the top 25% every single month. If you miss it, then there's always next month if you want to focus on that trading company. So yeah, it's definitely a reasonable way of going about it. And when I first heard about it, I was worried, but you calmed me down, Jeff, and for good reason, because it's completely doable every time. So
yeah, what it does is it's added this kind of meta goal that I think has changed the way I play, where it used to be like, okay, log in to play the game. What do you guys want to do today? And it's like, okay, well, there's a time limited thing. Let's prioritize that. And if there's not a time limited thing, you say, okay, well, there's a new thing, a new feature of the month. Let's prioritize that just because it's new and exciting. It's not time limited, but it's new and we want to check it out. But now you also have this other way of like, well, I kind of feel like doing voyages. What companies do you guys want to work on this month? Or where are you on the leaderboard? Like, are you close to the top? Maybe we could work on that company. And it's just like, I'm in the second tier of Order of Souls, and I'll be like, okay, cool, let's go do Order of Souls and get you in the top tier. And it's just a new little thing to consider of all your options when you log in the game of what do I want to do today? That's just a new question, a new part of that question, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The most important thing they added, though, Hyle, we didn't bring it up. Cats, kitty cats.
Yeah, new pets, the Emporium. There had been cats in the art book. Cats had been part of the Tales of the Sea of Thieves book. And so it's like, when are you going to add cats? When are cats coming? Cats were something that pirates and sailors did have on ships in olden times to deal with ship rats. And they're finally here. And they're honestly great because, like monkeys are what I was wanting. And I got my monkeys first go. When they added pets, there were the monkeys. And then there were the parrots. But with cats, you when you pet them, your controller shakes as they purr. And it's a very soothing thing in these anxious times. It's comforting, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you could just log in and fish to relax, and then you can pet your cat and feed him the fish, and that's it. That's Sea of Thieves. So,
no, but also your cat will also attempt to eat fish, even if you don't want them to eat the fish you've caught. So you've got to be careful around those.
Yeah,
bastards.
well, that's cats. So yeah, cats. Then the Arena 2.0, they changed up the arena this month. So this is when I say that this update is like anniversary update sized, like, and this did come out in April, so this is technically like 1 year later after the anniversary update. So it's like the anniversary of the anniversary update. When I say it's that size of change of the game, it's because every aspect of the game has been affected. And that includes a massive overhaul of the arena mode, which we're not as keen on the changes that they've made. Some of them are good changes.
No. So the thing is, I usually only play arena once in a blue moon, right? But when I did play arena, I usually had a lot of fun. The only issue with arena was sometimes matchmaking for galleons is sluggish, and you're just sitting around waiting a long time. And so, like, but when you got in and we played, I always ended up being really surprised how much I enjoyed it. And a large part of that was due to the varying strategies you can take. It felt a lot like those early builds of the game that I fell in love with, but with just a little bit more. And it wasn't all down to PvP like you might imagine. It was a whole lot of strategizing and taking the best route and outthinking the other crews versus like who's just best at bunny hopping and double gunning, right? So, when they changed arena, when they announced this change to arena, I was skeptical. And then we'll get into what these changes are, but I was really exposed to these changes when they announced something called the Competition of Courage, which was one of these website events, kind of separate from the main game, but they're offering these time limited cosmetics. And the ultimate one was a figurehead of a griffin. And this was, if you won 20 arena matches.
Yeah.
In like a 2-week period. So like, this isn't just like you finish in the top 25%. No, this is, you have to get first place in an arena match, which, that's quite a lot to ask for, when, you're fighting for or whatever other crews in any given match, and matches sometimes, can take, 15 to 20 minutes to set up. So anyway, this was kind of a trial by fire for me with this new mode. And on a galleon, I had a miserable time.
Well, okay, so this is what they've changed. And the goal of the change is to make arena quicker, more fast-paced action, like you get into the action faster. And so what they've done is the time limit is shorter. They used to be 24-minute matches. Now they're 15-minute matches. I think that is a baller, perfect change, needed to be done. They made smaller arenas. That's good. Then they increase the amount of points you get for cannonball hits. That is kind of an issue we'll talk about. And then now they've made it so that it used to be in Arena, you would get maps in your inventory that were X marks the spot, and you would go to the islands and dig up the treasure, and then you'd have to sell them at these hand-in points. There used to be 2 hand-in points. Now there's only 1 hand-in point, so it increases that kind of conflict factor of maybe the point is now campable, or like you can't get away from a fight. But you kind of, before you had this choice of like, well, what islands do we want to go for? Where, and then there's like the just the skill level it takes to like be good at reading the maps, digging up the treasure, coordinating, working with the crew on those tasks. And it felt like it is a condensed version of the treasure hunting aspect of adventure mode. It's just adventure mode, but in 24 minutes with a score, with a competitive score attached to it. Now, there's only 1 chest at a time, and there's no map. Instead of an X marks a spot map that you have to like decipher, it's just a beacon that is like instantly visible to all players. Like, it's just glowing beacon. And so immediately you spawn in the match, and everyone just has to go to this point and fight over this chest. And because the cannonballs are worth more points than they used to be, and because you get less chests than you used to get, because you used to be able to get multiple chests from each island you went to. Now there's only 1 chest. So the point reward balance has significantly shifted away from rewarding you for selling the chest, and now towards rewarding you for firing cannonballs. And that's really it. Because especially on a galleon, when you have 4 cannons and you can fire a lot of cannonballs very quickly, with their 40 points a pop, if you land a cannonball hit, it's just a game of like, all right, get up on another ship and make sure that they're kind of incapacitated or unable to escape, or just AFK and just pump their ship full of cannonballs, and that's how you win.
Yeah, a lot of it when we were doing it on the galleon crew was, let's look at which galleon crew has the least amount of people on it and bully them and farm them for cannonball hits.
Right, and we only did that because there was this time limit event that said you have to get 20 wins this week. And so we had to do...
Second place meant nothing.
Yeah.
So you had to win. So it was basically any means necessary. And I didn't feel good about it, but that's what we had to do. And but that also meant that because matchmaking in galleons takes a long time, like I said, 15 minutes, it can take upwards of 20 minutes to 30 minutes just to get into a game. And then it's what, 12 minutes to play
15.
it. 15, sorry. And then, so you could like only play 1 match in an hour on a galleon. So if you sink all that time in and you get second place, it feels like you just threw away a whole hour. And that's not a good feeling when you've got to get 20 wins to get this time-limited figurehead. So, as far as my introduction to the new arena, I didn't enjoy it until I needed 2 more wins. And so you and I hopped on a duo sloop and played that mode. And I was taken aback by how much fun it was in comparison to playing with galleons.
Yeah, so sloops are way more fun right now than galleons. So it's just speaking for more context, I play Arena all the time, or at least I used to. I really have dropped off because of this update. But I used to play Arena all the time. I am level 50 in the Sea Dogs, which is max level for the Arena. And I have several different groups of people that I play with just to play Arena. And I've basically stopped playing Arena except for sometimes duo sloops. And the reason is that, like the problems that I said before, what are the problems of this new mode, they're pronounced when you're on a galleon, and they're less pronounced when you're on a sloop. Cannonball points being OP, it's not really an issue on the sloop because you can only fire 1 cannon at a time. So you can't rack up the points quickly in the way that you can on a galleon firing 4 cannons at a time. The other thing is like camping and boarding, PvP, bunny hopping, all that stuff happens less on a sloop because your whole ship only has 2 people on it. And so if you're going to leave your ship to camp an outpost or jump on another ship, you leave your ship exposed with only 1 person on it. In galleons, when you have 4 people, it's really easy to let 1 person go off the ship and go camp a location or screw with another crew because the 3 of you can handle it. It's a lot harder on a sloop. It's also harder to like get, like I feel like it's more rewarding to get the chest dug up and back to your ship and escape when you've got all these ships chasing after you, and you've only got 2 people on your crew. So when you leave the boat, you leave your ship like vulnerable. I don't know. Sloop mode, it still has, I think, all the same problems. They're just significantly less pronounced, and so I still have fun with it. But the problems of they've removed a lot of the variety of strategy, of tactics, of like trying to outthink yourself in a situation and decide in the moment on the fly, like, oh, we got new maps and there's this island and there's that island and that crew's over there. That crew already has 3 chests. Like, what do we do in this moment? And thinking on the fly of like, what's our best move? You never get that in Arena anymore. It never happens because there's only one chest. You always know where it is. And there's no variety of like, what are you going to do in this match? It's just go after it.
It's a shame. I feel like it is the one flaw of the recent updates, and especially this April update, where I feel like it's actually made the game, or this aspect of the game, slightly worse. And I can understand why they made the changes they made, and maybe it satisfies more PvP-minded players who would play the arena more. And so maybe I'm not even the target audience of this, but yeah, I do find it. I did have fun on duo sloops when we played, because I felt like there was some of that old strategy still involved, even if it was centered around getting the one chest. But there just wasn't all those annoyances and little roadblocks in the way that there are in the Galleon arena, where it just felt like the spirit of the arena had been like just dulled to where it's just this obnoxious dick wagging contest.
Yeah, I think the changes also strongly accentuate or highlight the need for more deliberate matchmaking that is like based on your skill level, because in the new mode, I feel like the best crew wins. Like, when I play duo sloops with my one friend, that we're really good at it. Like, we're really good at it. And if there's no, like, if normally in the other mode, because there's 2 sell points, before they changed it, because there was 2 sell points, you can't stop everybody from selling chests. Because there's 3 or 4 islands active at a time, sometimes they all have chests, you can't stop everybody from getting chests and getting away from you. You can't single-handedly control a server and just get out in the lead and then control the situation, because there's too much going on with 5 ships for you to control everything. And so the matches, even if I was the best, I didn't necessarily, it was still thrilling, like it could come down to the wire. In the new mode, I feel like if we are the best crew in that server, we are going to dominate it, because we get the chest, we hold it down. If we don't sell it, nobody can get a new one. A new one won't spawn. And we can just kind of force everyone to come to us. We can kind of control the situation. There's not multiple threads of things going on that we can't be everywhere at once. Instead, we are the thread that everyone is focused on us. And we just control the game. And so it's not fun. It's less fun. It can be fun, but it's a lot less fun when I don't have 2 or 3 crews that are like contesting me and making it come down to the wire. I think I wish they'd had better matchmaking. I wish that they had a leaderboard type system to encourage more play with it, especially because I maxed out the level. There's a lot of little things that it could be improved. And that's the thing, is that I know it will be improved. Like, any complaints I have, I'm sure that they probably all also think the same things when they play it. They're like, oh yeah, camping AFK ships is a problem and we're going to fix it. I'm sure it's all in the works, because they are responsive to feedback and they are working on the stuff all the time. It's just the state it's in right now is not my favorite, so I stick to adventure mode.
Yeah. And maybe I would enjoy, as I enjoy duo sloops, but maybe I would enjoy the nature of the arena more if there wasn't, if I played it without that must get 20 wins mindset. Because
second place is fine.
Win, that's not bad. Yeah,
you can be really happy with a second place finish when you stole it out from another crew. You stole it out from under another crew at the last second, and you're like, oh yeah, we moved into second place, and then like they were tough competition. Like, a second place finish can be great, but the competition of courage challenge was, I think, structured in a way that had bad feel to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that was over with, but they could have just done it like get a top 3 finish 40 times, and I would have been happier with that than get a top 1 finish 20 times. Even then, it would have been a slog just because of the time sink of matchmaking. But whatever.
The only other thing I have to add about the April update was that they did add the Saberwolf ship set, and as far as the like rare heritage ship sets go, I feel like it's one of the more understated ones, where it feels like it's not necessarily Saberwolf themed. I mean, it is obviously, but it just feels like a generic wolf set than anything.
What I like about it is that it's kind of black with green lines and flowers on it, and so it literally looks like the game Saberwolf, like the graphics of it.
Oh yeah,
where the backgrounds, the original one, where the backgrounds are black with like green scenery laid on top of it, and I think they captured that with the look of it. And then it's got a wolf figurehead on the front that is kind of... I think the one thing they could have done to do better of it was the insignia on the sails is a wolf. It's like the head. It's like a bust of a wolf, like a head. They could have made it the same shape as the Saberwolf amulet that you collect in the game. You know, you collect the 4 parts of the amulet, and it's shaped like a wolf head. They could have just done that shape of a wolf head, and then it would have been a direct reference. But instead, it's just kind of a different wolf head, which is, it's a beautiful set, and I like it. But yeah,
it is. Yeah. But I mean, I have such high expectations after some of the other ones that it was just like one of the only ones where I was like, it's okay. But I expect they're going to knock it out of the park for the Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning run set. So
can't wait.
I'm not worried. Yeah. So that brings us to May, which was the Lost Treasures update, which was very, very low key and not much changed. And this was partially because the pandemic and working from home. They really had to delay a lot of what they had planned for May to June, which we just got, but we're not really going to address on this episode.
Yeah, so the Lost Treasures update was a little bit of like a filler update. It was the perfect time for it, too, because Ships of Fortune just added in, increased level cap and a new reason to just interact with trading companies and stuff. And so I didn't need a new monthly, event. I still have these new toys from Ships of Fortune that definitely can still tide me over a whole extra month, and that's what Lost Treasures was. They did a lot of balancing and kind of bug fixing. They rebalanced emissaries a lot to kind of fix some cheesing issue. Like there was ways with the emissaries with the multiplier and everything that you had players who would do the brand new Reaper's Bones company and get it all the way to level 75 in 24 hours. And that the multiplier was too powerful. It was too easy to get level up. And then so they've kind of nerfed a few things, balanced a few things. And there's a lot of people, honestly, I've seen a lot of people just pissed off that they nerfed some stuff and are like, bring back the old emissary system when I could get a week's worth of treasure in a day. And no, because that's stupid. The balancing is so necessary. And if they would have launched it in the state it is now, nobody would be complaining that it's underbalanced, that it needs to be buffed. Everyone would say, wow, what a great emissary system with great multipliers and everything is nice. If it came out today like it is now, they would say that. But because they got that little taste of it being kind of too broken powerful, now they're like, no, bring back the old one. I don't like balance. I don't like things being the right balance. Anyway, people's stupid. But yeah, they've done that. They did they limited the Skull Stash and Athena run voyages for that reason, for cheesing reasons of being able to get a ton of emissary progress in a very short amount of time. They limited those special voyages so you can only do them once a month. And I actually wanted to say about that, the mercenary voyage system, where most months Duke brings in a new voyage and it's temporary, time limited, and it's like, you can do this voyage for this month, and it helps you engage with this month's content, in a way that drives engagement with players. They need to change up that system to match these voyages where they're this limited to one purchase a month. Instead of making the voyage a time-limited thing that goes away forever, make it the time-limited aspect of it will be that it's infinite. And once that is over, make it purchasable once per month. So it becomes a cool treat. Now, those Raging Bounty voyages we talked about earlier, where you go get a guaranteed chest of rage, and then you go and get a guaranteed fight against a skeleton lord, and you can use that as a chance to set a bunch of skeletons on fire if you want. I would love to have that voyage back, but it's gone from the game forever.
Well, unless they do follow what you say, because, Sea of Thieves Incorporated, Sea of Thieves Industries Incorporated Limited, they are listening, and they will do exactly what we say. So yeah, I want them to do, and the other thing is they kind of put a lot of stuff too much focused on Duke for a while. Duke was the shop. Yeah. Duke was giving the voyages. Duke was giving all the information. Duke was driving the game for like the better part of a year.
Yeah, and it was too much. I think they need to, and we'll talk about the event hub here in a second, but combining with that and with what Duke's role has been in the past, and then Duke having this shop, the black market, and with Duke selling voyages, they need to split some of that up and kind of refocus the tavern space that you spawn into to make it a more kind of, instead of everything attached to one NPC that is the focal point of the game. So I want them to make a new character separate from Duke that is a literal mercenary and who, on behalf of trading companies, will hire you as a mercenary to go do these voyages that Duke used to give out. And so it's literally like, it's still on behalf of the trading companies, but it's through this mercenary. And the whole thing they do is they give you these voyages that you can only buy once a month, or the ones that are infinite for a time-limited time. And so you can go to this person, this NPC, and they'll say, all right, I've got some voyages available. You can do an Athena run once a month. You can do a Skull Stash once a month. You can do a Raging Bounty or a Black Powder Stash run, or a Dark Relic voyage and all these things, but you can only do them once a month. And then it kind of gives you this chance of like, you can engage with older content if you want to, and it's a special time of the month where you're like, decide like, oh, we can do a Raging Bounty voyage, let's do it. Or you don't have to, but it's there as an option. Instead of limiting the options and taking things out of the game, keep them around. And then you'd have an NPC attached to it, and that would be fun.
You also had a really good idea for the tavern, which will kind of set up what we're talking about next. Kind of having a community board, like an event,
like a bulletin board kind of thing.
Yeah. Bulletin board, right? Where you can see in game all of the events they have going on the website, which are time limited and don't really affect in-game aspects like commendations, but give you time-limited cosmetics.
Right, so with this update, they launched the Event Hub, which is the evolution of these live website events they've been doing that we've talked about. The Hunter's Hall, the Anniversary Tribute events, the Competition of Courage, and now they have the Event Hub. The Event Hub is a page where they've got now daily bounties. Every day there's a new challenge you can do in Sea of Thieves. It changes every day, and it gives you just a small monetary reward, gold or doubloons.
Yep.
So you can completely ignore it. It's entirely optional, but it's something to get you started if you want. And so I actually do pay attention to those. And I'm like, I'm playing the game. What's the daily challenge today? Oh, that's easy. We can do that on the way. Just keep it in mind. Something to do. And then they've got regular events that are kind of bonuses. So they've got like every day for a couple specific hours, gold is double value. They've got a thing going on right now. They had a thing going on where it was every Friday, all day long Friday, fort treasure is double. Just the stronghold items themselves. So some of the treasure.
They called them fortnights.
Fridays are fortnights, which is great. So but they've got, now that event has ended. That was like that was throughout the month of May or whatever. Now they've got Ashen Expeditions. So every Tuesday you get double treasure from Ashen items in the Devil's Roar. These are just optional things that give you more things to engage with. But then they've also had these time-limited ones, which are like the Hunter's Hall, like the Competition of Courage. And it's just this thing. It's like, well, here's a challenge. It lasts like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And if you complete it, this is the reward you'll get. Some of them have been cosmetic. Some of them have been just like ancient coins. But they've all got it on a hub page now. It's still very divorced from the game. And I think this is an issue with a lot of things in the game where they don't communicate very well in-game to players what is going on. And we've seen, like, with big things, like monthly updates, monthly Duke Voyages, and we run into players around the seas that just have no idea what we're talking about, what's going on. And I think they can do a better job of communicating what's new and what's going on by using that tavern space and not forcing you to, like, go out of your way to talk to Duke, but instead put up a bulletin board with these kind of event hub items and other things, and then you can sprinkle in, you know, more Bildrat NPCs. You could have a Bildrat that runs the black market. He shouldn't just be Duke, just sitting right in the tavern on an outpost, running a shop that's called the black market. That's weird. It's bad thematically. And it's bad that we come to Duke for everything. So make that a different NPC, hide them somewhere, put them, you know, I think they can open up the upstairs of the tavern would be sweet. And then it's just some guy in a corner who's like at a table drunk and he's just like, psst, hey, I got a secret. You want to buy some secret shit? It's a black market.
No,
like that would be a way.
It's a creep with a trench coat and he opens it up.
And it's got ship liveries and fucking figureheads and it's all in his jacket. That would be good. There's some ways they can integrate the tavern space to more visually and instantly cue the players in when they log into what is new. Honestly, almost everything Duke does, I think, could be done better by a different NPC. Even just his lines of dialogue where he says, like, oh, this is what's new this month. I've heard of this rumbling on the waves. Flameheart's up to this. Those don't make sense thematically. Well, they would make better sense thematically to come from the tavern barmaid who has no gameplay purpose, but it would make sense for the barmaid to have the rumors and tell you them.
All the tavern keepers do is they refill your tankard, which is just completely like it's so like non-essential. Like you can refill your tankard from the ship, so it just, if you're in the tavern and you want to simulate the act of getting drunk, like that's where you keep refilling your tankard. Yeah. But if she was kind of like gave you like this scuttlebutt of like what's going on, and there was more stuff going on in the tavern. I agree, like the whole tavern space could be utilized much better, especially when it comes to the event hub, which feels so disconnected from the game. And not just like disconnected because it's on the website and it's not actually being like, you're not being included in game about what any of this stuff is, but also because Sea of Thieves is a game that goes out of its way to explain everything in a lore-based way, like mechanics, why you can do this, why you can't do that, why your pirate can cheat death continually. It's all explained in lore. The event hub really isn't. Sometimes they'll like have little anecdotes like, oh, Merrick is having a fish fry with his family and he wants all these fish and blah, 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 blah. But then other times it's just like, here's a challenge and you get doubloons for some reason. And I feel like incorporating that into a bulletin board would really bring that in closer and tie everything together in a way that makes it feel like a living, breathing world every single day.
Yeah.
And so, that would be how I would change it. And I really like when you pitched that idea, when you said it to us, I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. And then it really got me thinking about what the tavern could be as a central hub, because it's where you always spawn into, unless there's no tavern to spawn into, unless they're all like occupied, and then they'll just like, on a very rare occasion, you'll spawn on an island, right from the beginning. But that's only happened to me like once or twice. But yeah, like if the tavern was like where you get started, where you can see like what's going on today, what's going on this month. Let me talk to Duke and see what's going on there. Let me talk to the black market pervert upstairs and get some goods. You know, you could do all sorts of things with it.
What I would do is I would have Duke's function split 3 ways. The function of telling you, like, lore-wise, what is happening this month. Like, oh, Flameheart's up to this, and there's some new voyages that you can do, and the Order of Souls wants you to do this. That function should be done by the barmaid, because it makes sense that she hears the rumors from pirates that come and go from the tavern. Then you've got the black market, which can be the pervert upstairs. And then you have the mercenary, who is the one who hires you out for voyages. Duke doesn't have to be the one who hires you out for voyages, because Duke is already the one giving you the overarching Bilge Rat challenges, the ones that have their own tab when you go into Bilge Rats. So there's the mercenary tab, but then there's other events like Cruise of Rage that has its own tab of challenges. Duke is the one who gives you those. Like, you're doing those to impress Duke because he rewards you for being adventurous and a pirate. So you got the mercenary, you've got the pervert, you've got the barmaid. Take Duke completely out of the tavern, have no function for Duke, and then you can put him around the world in a different location every month, off doing adventuring. Like, you can discover him on an island, and he's just like, oh, this month Duke is on Smuggler's Bay. He's got some nifty lines of dialogue, but then next month he might be on Thieves Haven, and he's like, oh, I'm on Thieves Haven. I'm just out here hunting down some gunpowder skeletons for the thrill of it. And it makes him actually a character who's not always just drunk in the tavern. And then what that opens him up for is you can even have him show up in story-related content, because he's not trapped in the tavern. He's a physically moving character who's like out there somewhere. You could just have him like, well, this month he's not on any island. He just like shows up in a tall tale that you do. And he's like part of the story, like how Pendragon, was in the one story with Grace Mara.
I like Duke was a really interesting, fun character when they introduced him, and then they just had him take on way too much, and he's just kind of a mess at the moment. I mean, he's a mess in story because he's traumatized, but he's also just functionality-wise all over the place. So, it's kind of like he's a retro-era Donkey Kong Country Kong helper when he needs to be a rare-era Donkey Kong Country Kong helper and take on one role versus wearing many hats.
Yeah. So the other big change of the month, the big one was Tall Tales 2.0. Tall Tales added in checkpoints, which has been just... I mean, we usually have the time to sit down and do a Tall Tale start to finish, no problem, because we play long sessions. But honestly, having a checkpoints that they basically allow you get to a certain progress in the tale, and you've got some quest item that if you lost it, you would fail the tale. Like, you can't complete the story without this key that you discovered. Whatever. Once you got that item, you now have a checkpoint. And so you could fail the quest and then just start back from the checkpoint. Or you could hop servers, start on another server to start from the checkpoint. You could wait a month and come back and then start from the checkpoint because it's saved. It's like session to session. It's not it's not just in that session. It's a permanent checkpoint. And it allows you to kind of it basically removes failure as an option, because it used to be a tall tale takes 2 hours, and if somebody makes you fail it right at the end, you just wasted all your time. You got to start from the beginning, and that's bad feel. And the other one is like, oh, once you start, you can't walk away from the game until you're done. You can't choose when to finish, because if you only have 45 minutes to play, you can never play a tall tale.
Right.
But now you got checkpoints.
Yeah. It's nice. And we actually ran into how nice it was during the stream of Ganza, when we didn't have time to finish the second tall tale on one day, so we just picked it up on the next. And then we didn't have time to finish the third tall tale on the second day, so we picked it up on the third. So
yeah, it's great. It's just the little things. Like, this is really the great thing of the monthly updates, is that like, for somebody, that change, the checkpoints, is a life-changing addition. Like, completely changes their game, because it makes the game, it just they now have the option to do tall tales where they couldn't before, or whatever. It's just having these monthly updates. It's like every month there's something big, something cool even this month, the Lost Treasures, which we considered like a filler month with nothing going on.
Yeah. And, you know, with the event hub, you know, nothing was as bad as the competition of courage, but there was this thing where you had to turn in, I guess this was actually worse in some ways. You had to turn in 10 Reaper's Bones flags to the Reaper's hideout. So that means you have to sink 10 Reaper's Bones. And, which is kind of an astronomical goal, right? You got these time limited emotes, which honestly weren't even that great. But, there's some other stuff too, but, this is where I decided to rig the system, and I got the collective DK Vine, Golden Sands blog post, DK Girder, and Rare Gamer, a family of editors. And we got like 8 people, and we server hopped until 2 of us got on the same server. And we did this by like, seeing who was on, we all killed ourselves, and then we saw if each other were on the Ferry of the Damned, and that's how we knew if one of us were on the same server. After 2.5 hours, 2 of us got on the same server, and then we all got invited ourselves to those people's galleons. So then we took over 2 galleons on the same server, and we both became Reaper's Bones, and we just sunk each other and turned in our flags. But I bring that up because, it was a really fun experience. And then this 3rd Reaper's Bones came along to the Reaper's hideout, and basically they were like younger gamers. They were like newer Sea of Thieves players, younger, and we basically took them under our wing, and we all went to the Fort of the Damned together. And we were 3 Reaper's Bones sailing together. And it was a really fun experience. And you still have those experiences in the game too, where you encounter people who you aren't friends with, but you strike up alliances with and weird budding friendships with. And that's still a big joy to be derived from the game. And now that the game is on Steam, right? It launched June 3rd on Steam. We're seeing more and more people join the servers, join the game. I'm seeing so many white sales out there. Just the standard sailor sales you get when you start the game, which usually indicates a new player, a novice. For a long time, you didn't see them that much, and now they're everywhere again. And it's a really exciting time for the game because you have all of these new people jumping in. It's not just disaffected pirate legends who are there for PvP and not much else. It's people of all stripes or no stripes playing the game and trying to find their way and having fun. And the game is kind of everywhere. Everywhere I look, I see it in the conversation. Not the conversation, just general conversation. I wear a Sea of Thieves shirt out in public now, and I try to limit how much I'm in public because of the pandemic. But, you know, more often than not, somebody will comment on it and be like, Sea of Thieves. And it's really just fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool to see this everywhere. And that we don't have to, it used to be like pulling teeth to get people to play the game, even in our community, the DK Vine community. We got like the initial groups of people who fell in love with the game, but then it was like every time we did a Sea of Thieves episode, right? It was like, hey, Sea of Thieves, it's really fun. Play it, play it, play it. It's not that hard anymore. More and more DK Viners are coming around to it, and it's
yeah. Do you still lose followers on Twitter when you tweet Sea of Thieves?
No, that's the thing. That's what I was gonna say. It used to be I would tweet about Sea of Thieves, and guaranteed I would lose upwards of 3 followers every time because people would just be like, "Oh, he's tweeting about Sea of Thieves. Oh, he's not a real Rare fan." Unfollow.
Yeah, the only way I lose followers these days is like tweeting about Black Lives Matter, and then I lose followers, and I'm like, okay, good riddance, see ya.
Yeah, right. But, yeah. It's like, oh, good to know.
You know, it's good to know where you don't let the door hit you, where the good Lord split you.
But yeah, it is amazing to see. Like, and we're not all the way there. You still get, you know, the people who are like, where's the Banjo remake? Where's the new Banjo-Kazooie game? When's Rare Replay coming to Switch? Oh yeah, and fuck Sea of Thieves. But more or less, they're becoming the minority, and people who accept and understand that Sea of Thieves is a runaway success are the majority. And a big part of that, too, are people who are discovering Sea of Thieves and realizing, oh, wait, this is a rare game. This has everything I love about rare games, just in a more modern context.
You know, it's really been a lifesaver during lockdown, during pandemic times.
Yeah.
And I'm also really avid in board gaming communities. It's a hobby of mine, is board games. And I have a bunch of different content creators and people and followers that I follow in different board game communities. And they're in my feed, they're in my social circles. And every one of them, people can't go play board games at each other's houses when everyone is in lockdown. Especially at the height of it back in like March and April. So
the height, we haven't left the height of it.
I mean, the height of people not leaving their houses. Because
people actually caring about the pandemic and not pretending like it was over, right?
My state doesn't have an actual stay-at-home order anymore, and it did then. So back when there was a stay-at-home order, board games stopped happening. People couldn't go to board game meetups. They couldn't go to board game shops where they could play games. They couldn't go to each other's houses. And every one of these people in my feed were like, oh, hey, drop any recommendations you have for video games that have a high emphasis on socialization. And every single board gamer I followed, like I kept seeing it. They were just like, oh, you should check out Sea of Thieves. I've been playing it for months. It's great. And it's just like, what? This is two different worlds. These are two different fandoms of mine. And it's like they all play Sea of Thieves. Like it is everywhere. It's way more like out there and being talked about and being played than even I realized as someone who lives and breathes it, has been for 3 years. It's everywhere now, and it's great. And like during lockdown, it's been a great way to socialize.
Honestly, there hasn't been a rare game this much in the cultural conversation since GoldenEye. Like, there hasn't. Like, just as far as like how much it's penetrating gaming, how many people are discovering it and it becoming a regular part of their routine and their hobby, like Sea of Thieves, not since GoldenEye. And that's not to belittle all the games I love, Banjo, Conquer, Ghoulies, but Sea of Thieves is just this runaway thing that it's crazy. It's still building momentum. Like 500,000 sales for a game that's 2 years old in 1 week. Like what the hell?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, we know that we've covered 4 months today in the catch up. This is the spring catch up.
Yeah,
Sea of Thieves spring 2020 catch up. In these 4 months and beyond, and up from these 4 months to now, Sea of Thieves has added, I think, like 1.5 million players. Yeah. This is a game that's 2 years old. Like, it's still adding a couple million players a year at least. We're not even. This is like a third of a year. We're getting close to 1.5, a little more than a third of a year. 1.5 million new players. So, this is a big game. This is a big success story. I'm seeing people come back to it who left it, which is also great. But then you're seeing the new people, and it's so much fun. The fact that they've taken so many great measures to make it where you don't outpace your friends and leave them behind. You can bring them with you on anything you do together. It's all accessible. There's no power progression. You can jump in late and you won't be like, oh, well, the person who grinded for 1,000 hours can just instantly destroy me. No, we're on an even playing field. You just have to learn the gameplay and the mechanics, and then you can be on the same playing field as everybody. Especially
if you sail with people who know what they're doing, it's very easy to learn the ropes. If you're sailing, if you've got that like protective coating of, oh, I'm sailing with people who have been sailing for a while, and that's why we definitely direct people towards our Sea of Thieves Discord. I would love to sail with newbies too. Like I tend to fall into a rut where I sail with the same crew, right? But it would be great to bring in like 1 or 2 new people every now and then. Who haven't had much experience with the game, and
literally
then see how they respond.
Get with us if you've been new to the game and you've been playing. get added to our Discord, and we could even, we'll put you on the Sunday stream. We play every Sunday. And then a lot of us play more than that, like between the Sundays. We don't just play on stream, but we play all the time. So you get in that Discord, you pop in and say, hey, I'm going to be free on Wednesday. Anybody want to play? And I guarantee you, you're going to have some people say like, oh, I can be free Wednesday. And then you'll have a full crew, and then you're off to the races.
All right, so we've been prattling on and on and on, and of course there's the big June update, which we won't discuss here, but that added ghost ships and oh my god, all sorts of other stuff. So
we'll do another catch up in like 4 months, right? So like a summer catch up.
We'll do a summer catch up in the fall, right? So
September.
Anyway, final thoughts, Jeff.
Final thoughts.
Anything you would like to punctuate this episode with? The big exclamation point at the end to show that you found all of the bonus areas. What do you have to say?
It's just amazing that this group of 4 months has been the most game-changing, monumental group of 4 months, probably in the whole game's history. If you add all the 4 months content together, the anniversary update was 1 month, one update. And it's huge. It's bigger than any of these, that's for sure. Anniversary update was huge. And you probably could say it's bigger than even these 4 months added together, maybe. But it took them way more than 4 months to make it, you know what I mean? Like, they were working on that update forever. But I just think if you add up the content of these 4 months, it's been more content than any other 4 months in the game up to now. They did that when 2 out of these 4 months updates, they launched these updates while working from home, and one of these updates is kind of a filler month. The Lost Treasures in May, it was just kind of biding time to get the ghost ships ready for June. So all of that, caveats, and they still come out with this incredible, Heart of Fire was a huge update, Ships of Fortune, just monumental update. And then if you go back and watch episode 802, when we talk about the previous 4 months, a lot of great stuff in there. And now we're on 12 months. 12 months of monthly updates where they've kept up this rhythm. And not just kept up a rhythm, but they built momentum, actually. Because this is the culmination of it, of getting things like Heart of Fire and Ships of Fortune in back-to-back months. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, my hat's off to everyone at Rare working on it, because I hope they're, maintaining sustainable work styles. They're not crunching, and they're just kind of they're pushing features back when they need to. And even in the face of all that and working from home, they're killing it on all fronts.
Yeah. And, I hope they're not killing themselves. I hope they're not crunching, but if they do, I hope it's to add TT the stopwatch, the leaky bucket, the Viva Pinata shovel,
maybe Royston the goldfish,
Royston, and of course the pervert in the tavern. So
what if the pervert was Black Eye? That'd be great.
I would be okay. Yeah, Captain Black Eye, the pervert, who flashes you with his goods in the tavern. So those are our demands. You have 1 week.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.
No grandfathers were harmed in the making of this episode.